We're live on this Wednesday transmission. I've got huge breaking news that I've got to work on right now before we even go live. So here's an important report from Paul Joseph Watson, the truth about soy face.
Remember that whole soy boy thing that triggered a bunch of soy boys, as well as the entirety of the legacy media who still don't understand what a meme is? Turns out there's a new phenomenon where soy overconsumption physically manifests itself on the face of the sufferer.
Walking down the street, spot the Soylent truck, now I'm drinking a sweet chai breakfast.
Soy consumption, soy face. Soy consumption, soy face. Soy consumption, soy face. Photographing something you want to show everyone. Males, females, new males, soy face. It's also known as glory hole face or soylent grin. Here's an entire collage of soy face. The internet's best and brightest online philosophers have come up with an explanation for soy face that's definitely correct. The soy boy is an empty shell defined by his consumerist choices. The more woke the consumerist choice, the better. Although meant to display exuberance and excitement, look a little closer and see what soy face truly represents. Weakness and fear. There's also some weird phenomenon with the Nintendo Switch that causes instant soy face breakout. This guy's soy face is so chronic, it looks like he's about to turn into an edamame bean.
I had a vasectomy yesterday, and when I woke up, my wife's boyfriend surprised me with this.
Soy face. These boys are such p***s. They need bottle openers for plastic cartons. Cartons of Soylent. Let's just say there's no Bryan Adams on their Spotify playlist. Now, did you really think I'd leave you hanging with no actual scientific evidence for soy face? Did you really? You know me better than that. According to the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior, in a study of possible links between testosterone and dominance, 119 men and 114 women provided saliva samples for testosterone assay and posed smiling and not smiling for portrait photographs. Expert judges viewing the photographs found smaller smiles amongst high than low testosterone men, with less zygomatic major raising the corners of the mouth and orbicularis oculi raising the cheeks and crinkling around the corners of the eyes muscle activity. In other words, men who pose like this have lower testosterone. They're soy boys, and they can't help broadcasting the fact on their big soy faces. That's like science and shit, so it can't be debunked. The pattern among men of less smiling with higher testosterone levels fits with research linking testosterone to face-to-face dominance.
The soy boy smile
Versus the Chad smolderer. Men who pose like this like eating and drinking soy products. Now, I'm not saying there's necessarily a connection there, but there definitely is one. Of course, it's not just soy consumption that's lowering testosterone. A major study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that flexible plastics containing phthalates caused significant reductions in testosterone, including a 29% reduction in one age group of boys. Phthalates also increase the feminization of men, both in appearance and behavior. They're particularly present in mac and cheese. Phthalates in soaps, shampoos, and deodorants are making men flabby, tired, and impotent.
like a soy boy.
Sperm counts have plunged by nearly 60% in just 40 years among men living in the West. These boys have less sperm in their testes than a sperm whale after it's come off second best against a giant steamroller.
Actually, the sperm whale derives its name from spermaceti oil, which has nothing to do with human sperm. Let me demonstrate this in an obnoxious 30-minute YouTube response video.
Some people say I'm a hypocrite because Brain Force contains soy. Well, Brain Force also contains alpha-GPC. Lots of it. Alpha-GPC increases libido. How much? Well, just ask this 79-year-old Italian man. He went from a doddering pensioner to a rampaging sex chad virtually overnight. We had to put a bit of soy in Brain Force just to balance it out. Without it, our customers' testosterone would have been so high, they'd have been turning into the Incredible Hulk or Michelle Obama. Their testosterone would have been higher than the pitch of Vegan Gain's voice.
Like, Paul, this makes no sense.
Thankfully, now that real masculine role models with proper square jaws and solid rectangular heads like Mike Pence have returned, the scourge of soy face is finally in retreat. The globalist chemical warfare program to make men effeminate so they vote more like women who generally vote for left-wing parties and big government is still in full swing. But now that the testosterone decimating effects of soy and plastics are being exposed, the reign of the soy boys is coming to an end. Their soylent smiles are being wiped off their big, fat soy faces.
The main transmission kicks off in T-minus 60 seconds. The information apocalypse, information overload. It's already happened, but it's going to get more intense. And being the subject of disinformation attacks, I've really learned firsthand how sophisticated they are, but also at the same time, they have a whole ham-fisted level to them. Boy, there is so much news here. There's a giant stack of news I've got where all the big leftist publications are saying Roger Stone's been caught red-handed communicating with WikiLeaks, something he said he never did. So now he needs to be brought up on perjury charges. And then when you actually read the so-called messages, it says the art department of the Atlantic came up with them. These messages have been reproduced by the Atlantic's art team. And then, of course, when you've been following this whole thing, you know that Roger said, of course, everybody from Sean Hannity, the New York Times, was contacting WikiLeaks and trying to get comments and trying to get Assange to go on. What he said is he never talked to Assange or passed him information. And these messages are WikiLeaks saying, don't even try to talk to us because the media claims we're talking to each other, and we never have. They said false claims of association. So that's Roger's crime, is that WikiLeaks is saying something big's coming. Roger talks to everybody he can as a reporter, trying to find out what it is, talks to a New York reporter, a radio host who has talked to Assange, and says, oh, it's going to be devastating to Hillary and Podesta. He talks about it. He's given that source to Congress. That talk show host has testified that's true, and that's it. Remember when Assange during the campaign used to be on CNN and Fox News? I mean, are they saying because CNN had him on and called him and emailed him and had him on that that's collusion with the Russians? Because Assange isn't even Russian. That's another canard. So it's canards built on lies, built on sand, built on frauds, built on spin, built on disinformation, built on wanton twisting and hype. And I'm the one saying I'm sick of hearing about Russia, don't touch it. I'm not even really talking about it. It's meant to suck the air out of the room and change the subject from all the real things going on. But when they do this, I cover it because it's an illustration of the incredible deception. Now, that said, there's a whole other area that illustrates deception. And the trade publications admitted this 2.5 weeks ago. And it's so diabolical, it's so historical, it's so incredible that I can't believe I'm in the middle of it. And you're in the middle of it as the audience and the activist listeners. They're the heart of the American resurgence and the global resurgence of nationalism, patriotism, populism, free market capitalism. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories a day, and they've decided to carpet bomb on local TV affiliates. The national affiliates, the national networks tell them what to run, and they read off teleprompters. Every TV station pretty much in the country is running every day reports where Alex Jones will be the first to be banned from YouTube for saying no one died in Florida and then bullying children. They never even show the clip. They never even show the quote. Or they go, Klepper of Comedy Central, I guess, he went and they edited a bunch of stuff together where it's like 2-second clips together to make it sound like with tapes from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago in cases all together. And they just edit me in different studios together where it sounds like I'm saying all this and then apply it to what's happening. And they say that I'm viciously attacking him. And again, you saw how David Hogg, the #1 individual picked out of the School of 3,000 to now lead the national anti-gun movement funded by George Soros. Oh, guys, I left it in the podcast studio last night. BuzzFeed came out and admitted that the Democrats run the entire anti-gun children's movement, young people movement, but said it was a great thing. While they ban our videos for saying it, we're saying they're being funded, they're being given scripts. Not that they're crisis actors, not that the shooting didn't happen. But then they run articles in Time, Newsweek, the New York Times, the Washington Post. I mean, it's everywhere saying Jones is about to be banned. He deserves it. He bullied David Hogg. He said no one died. He said they were all crisis actors. Oh, and he said that the sheriff's department stood down. They're not saying that now, though. That was the first week and a half. Now that we've been confirmed to be right on what we did say, of course, we had all the eyewitnesses on and local newscast. I mean, it was very clear. There was a stand down. Now it's admitted. They've removed that claim. And, oh, he falsely claimed that. The only thing they were saying about me that was true was that. Now they've removed that because people go, well, wait, that actually happened. So now BuzzFeed's come out with an article admitting they're all basically Democratic Party run. And then I read all these articles, and it says, Jones had the #1 trending video a week and a half ago. YouTube banned it. He didn't back down, kept saying nobody died, so they did it again. And now his site's going to be, he's going to be banned off YouTube and hopefully everywhere. And then they're celebrating it all over the news. And yay, ban free speech. Yay, stand up to bullies. That's how they've always pushed the whole hate speech garbage. It's how they've always done it. And they're spinning in every direction. Alex Jones begs shooting survivor David Hogg to debate him. No, Hogg said he wanted to come on and debate me and then backed out. See, that's another lie. Everything they do is an inversion. And you all heard it. You all saw it yesterday. You can see the articles, the videos posted. Thank you. Here is the BuzzFeed article. Document cam, please. Again, goes on to say that the big progressive groups are helping them organize. But that was in the news the day after, that the Women's March, funded by Soros, the Democratic Party had, quote, taken it over and was helping. You've got all these sons and daughters of Democrats and CNN workers and FBI agents, and this is the deep state's children. They're high school seniors coming out, meeting with Democrats, meeting with Bernie Sanders, meeting with everybody, and saying, we are going to abolish the Second Amendment. So that's where we're at here. And the levels of lies are so intense. But here's the big news. And I'm going to cover this in the next segment. I'm going to be a good boy. This isn't about Infowars. It's about all of us. And I've spoken in the last month with a former top-tier executive at Facebook. I talked last night to another individual who has one of the biggest Facebook accounts. And I talked, obviously, on air to former head of psychological operations for the State Department, and he ran major operations for the CIA, Dr. Pachinik. And then we had Zach, who's been part of major operations. I'll just leave his name at that, but he's known. His name is Zach, first name. He even lets you know he was involved trying to expose the Fort Hood shooting, was an activist speaking out against that. So the government knows who he is. The FBI has picked him up before for speaking out, but nothing happened because what he was doing was patriotic and constitutional. They said, Alex, you got to get on the AI. We know you've obsessed over it over the years, but you've not really hit. It's now on. And if you watch that meeting 2 months ago with Google, Facebook, and Twitter executives all in front of Congress, and they were talking about censoring Infowars at lunch, they said, sir, within a month or two, we will have the algorithm, that means the AI in place. Infowars will never be at the top again. And I was talking last night to this individual, one of the biggest Facebook accounts, and I won't say the number because people can figure out who it is. And he said, Alex, you've got to get on this now. And he said, I'm really thinking about coming on, even though he's not a conservative, but he's well-known. You know him if I said his name. He said, because I've been in the meetings, and it's horrible what they're about to do. And that's why Sean Parker's gone public and others, because, Alex, it's really evil. I mean, it is like a science fiction movie. It's bad. It's real bad. And it just makes me worry about my children so much. And then you've got all these fools who are the last generation of not journalists, but hacks, who were aiding the whole AI takeover that will put them all out of work. We'll be back. People ask how I can take so many attacks. They ask how I can take all the intense lies. And it's because I understand most of the people that are part of it are victims of brainwashing, of programming, and of societal decline. I am not a perfect person. I have bad thoughts. I do bad things sometimes, too. Most people wouldn't think they were very big deals if you knew the little things I do, but I'm still guilty about it because I feel connected to everybody. And I try to do unto others as I'd have them do unto me. The news I'm about to lay out to you is so powerful, so incredible, so important, so all-encompassing. The total future destiny of our species, this planet and everything on it, and more, that I hesitate because I don't feel worthy to bring you this information. Now information is accelerating so fast that what happened a year ago, things that sounded crazy a year ago, are now openly admitted. A year ago, I was on Joe Rogan's podcast, biggest podcast in history. Now, reportedly, it's up to 50-something million views on 4 platforms. He says it's double anything he's ever had. It was in early February. I talked about AI supercomputers, how the elite worship them, how they want to merge with them, how they're going to turn everything over to algorithms that can then manipulate and control masses of people and predict the future and even control the future of human activity. I got attacked for that in newspapers, which memorialized that I was talking about something I've been talking about for 20 years, but that now a year later, everything I talked about in that podcast is on the news. And Elon Musk is saying the elite worship AI and believe they're going to merge with it. And there's a church of worshiping AI, and almost every person in Silicon Valley is insane now and is on all sorts of high-tech drugs and are, you know, already getting brain chips and are, you know, just totally crazy. There's already more than 10,000 U.S. troops when it was declassified a few years ago that have brain chips. I mean, we're way down the rabbit hole, just what we know of, with the breakaway civilization. Talk about the ultimate class separation. But the big news is that the AI is now in place. And it's in an accelerated learning phase. And Google, Facebook, Twitter, they are all, including Apple, coordinating some of their operations. Apple, not so much. And Apple's making the decision to go with China. They were already with them, but it's a full commitment. The code keys, their main servers, their main clouds, Chinese government at the top of Google. I mean, at the top of Apple. And I'm just giving you some background here before I get into the really, really, really big issue. And I'm just laying some of the predicate here and some of the background that you already all know about. Just remember how I told you this 10 years ago. Remember how I told you a year ago and I got made fun of. I was getting it from white papers. I was getting it from prospectus to investors. I was getting it from the people that started Google 19 years ago. What their aim was. Now, what's happening? Well, let me first go over this piece of news for you. And please stay with us because this affects you, your family, the whole future. Look at this particular document, February 2018. This just came out a week and a half ago. Future of Human Institute, University of Oxford, Center for the Study of Existential Risk, University of Cambridge, Center for the New American Security, Electronic Frontier Foundation, OpenAI. And it's the malicious use of artificial intelligence, forecasting, prevention, and mitigation. When you get into this, you understand the reason they're using race war, class war, saying there's not two sexes, all of this. This is psychological warfare ideas that played out and tested through AI in real time on giant social network platforms. In the case of Facebook, with what? Is it close to 3 billion members last time I checked? How many members on Facebook? I think it's 3 billion. Look that up for me. Imagine you've got a little less than half the planet on Facebook. It's the biggest. And then you learn when Sean Parker was there, it was 5-to-1 bots that were posing as people. They're saying 2.2 billion active users, but it's over 3 billion total. That it was bots keeping you alone, keeping you depressed, manipulating you, and saying things socially to you to reward your dopamine because you want social connection, but you never played on your bike, you never went outside, you never played football, you never fell out of a tree. You grew up, the last 2 generations, almost entirely inside your house watching television. Then you graduate to a computer, to an iPhone, to a system that you look through the world with that's got all these AI systems watching you, that you learn to finally reach out through a television-type system, but it's interactive and meet with other people. Then they can use the bots, the media, the culture to manipulate how you think, what you do, and by increment, get you to turn into whatever they want you. But then that's only like putting a deer feeder out with some corn to get the deer or the hogs to come in and eat a while. Pretty soon, you can just take the feed all away because you're done in that phase of domestication, and then you remove humans altogether. The humans are still in their cells. That's what they call them at Facebook. They call them cells, jail cells. And so you're in a cell, and then all the humans are removed. When you try to hit the publish button, it looks at what you've done, AI, they already do this, and decides if it can go forward or where it's going to go, or if it fits into an algorithm they've set for social engineering to reward you with Pavlovian conditioning with rewards, or to punish you incrementally rewiring your brain. And this is all in hundreds of white papers and the goals of the companies. It lowers IQ, it lowers your hormone levels, it basically makes you die. You're just sitting there being programmed by an AI computer that got you to come in because other people were there to interface. It studied you, it watched you, it learned how to act like a human. And now it is going to really begin the social engineering and absolutely make you alone except for artificial avatars you're talking to, and make you pay to be able, which they already did, like if you're an advertiser or a big site to reach all your fans on Facebook or all of them on Twitter, you got to pay. Oh, everybody comes and likes you. You're the person that brings everybody. Humans come to see you, hear you, interact with you, but now there's a paywall, not just advertising, but a paywall. And then now, see, it becomes a solid wall, and even individuals with 20, 30 friends, they've got to communicate to even talk to mom or grandma. And everything they're saying is being read and being watched and being controlled. But then when we come back, I'll tell you the next phase. They admit it's actually meant to kill you. When they're done, you'll be ready to call for the euthanization van to come kill you. And that's the big secret the executives told me. It's going to make you commit suicide. You're watching on television, you see a photo from a few years ago of Mark Zuckerberg that calls his users dumb effers. We'll put it back on screen or maybe behind me. Mark Zuckerberg that calls his users dumb effers, with all of his employees with virtual reality goggles on, sitting there looking into the universe he'd created, looking into the system that he had set up so he can play God. And that's exactly as you see the classic evolution of man, if you buy into that worldview, of starting off as an ape-like creature and then moving up through Cro-Magnon and then the rest of it into modern Homo sapiens sapien. And then now we start looking at a computer and hunching over, and then basically it becomes a face sucker and jumps on our face and absorbs us into the AI system. It is Elon Musk and Bill Joy and a few other big tech billionaires that have come out and warned of the consensus that humanity's over. And I showed a bunch of articles a few weeks ago out of CNBC, you name it, of the World Government Summit in Dubai, where it was accepted that humanity will end and merge with machines sometime around 2040. They always put it out there to make you think it's coming down the road. No, it's going to be much more accelerated if we follow their plan. And we're actually talking about this. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It isn't something, that I made up. This is something that was in elite discussions 20 years ago, in publications 10, 15 years ago, and now here it is. If you want to find the exact image, I likened them to face suckers like 15 years ago, but computers and smartphones when they first came out. You can actually search engine on Google the term smartphone face sucker, and there's one where it like shows a smartphone as a face sucker. It's pretty powerful. But continuing, it wants to take over your reality. Humans, bad actors with the AI, are already using it to surround you with fake bots who then socially, culturally, economically use peer pressure to manipulate you to behave and act and purchase and live the way they say. They can make it cool to pay more for a 250 square foot apartment than a 1,000-foot square apartment, as long as it's for the earth. They can get you to sterilize yourself because it's so cool. And in all the studies, it depresses you, it makes you alone. And if you go back to before Sean Parker went public and other Facebook executives last year and this year, a document came out in early 2017 from the top of Facebook out of Australia. And it said, we are victimizing people, we are controlling them, we are making them depressed, we are targeting them, mainly millennials and young people, and we're using kind of a modern liberal political correctness system to control them. So, expanding on that, as a species, we have a decision to make, and we have a discussion that needs to be had about this, and the folks that think they're part of the power structure and are managing this and going along with it at the lower and mid levels are really the biggest problem. Because a lot of the former top executives and even current ones are saying, whoa, 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 this thing has been engineered to be really, really bad, really, really destructive. We better do something. And there's government heat now on this as well because people realize how dangerous this is. But low-level and mid-level people that want political power and who want to control others, they are willing accomplices with some of the more evil executives who are in a race with the other companies and other governments and other combines and other power structures to get the most controlling, most dominant system that they believe will take over in a matter of hours once it gets a leg up on the others. And then things will start moving so quickly that you can have the world change while you're asleep at night, forever. And that's the acceleration in technology and in development that's happening. But as the technology advancements accelerate, humans are uglier. Humans are stupider. Humans are weaker. Humans are more evil. Humans have lower brain waves and are in a sleep-like twilight zone state between consciousness and unconsciousness and are highly suggestible and are being hypnotized. And so they're hypnotized watching these comedy shows, watching these fake news shows where they're demonizing and attacking any nationalists and calling us Nazis and calling us criminals. So when they're out on the street and they're walking by in their trance and they see you, they just sleepwalk over and attack you because they've been programmed. And if you yell back at them and say, what are you doing? A lot of them say, whoa, whoa, what is happening? Why am I doing that? They're in a trance state. And again, there's a lot of people who know this is going on intellectually, but are so comfortable with it and have gone along with it and are part of the programming it at a low level or mid level that they just kind of snicker and giggle about it because it makes them feel powerful. This is like if you're running around with a ball of radioactive plutonium, you're like, look, I can kill people with this. If I just rub it on somebody, they'll die in a couple days. Yeah, but you're going to die too. You've got the plutonium, the highly radioactive weapons-grade plutonium in your hand. You're not going to get out of this either. And then a lot of them are very nihilistic, very immature, very kind of 6-year-old bratish, where they make a soy boy face and go, I don't care, and kind of do a leprechaun dance. It's what they do, and that's programming too. And the reason the programming is also similar across the whole world is they're only activating failed human systems that were already there in the DNA, there in the consciousness. And it's really scary. I mean, we're living in a science fiction movie. You look at hundreds and hundreds of photos of men, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, when they are working for the tech companies, deeply embedded in it, and they're bots. It's a culture. They chug pure soy. They play video games all day. They watch television all day, and their eyes all look the same. Their faces all look the same. Now, show that one from earlier. And then they've got scientific studies that Paul talked about in a recent report where it admits that that is a direct correlation to the amount of estrogen and the amount of screen time. So we know what these zombies look like. Look at the faces. How demonic, how vacant, how programmed. Look how sad that guy on the left is. I mean, he's even deeper. He looks like he's dying. Or I guess on your right. Back to the other guy. Look at that. Dead already, folks. Very, very sad. Now, he may be able to be resuscitated, but he is in a trance state. That is a full trance state. And I forget the term. It's called the spiral of, I was talking about this during the break. What's it called? The spiral of silence, that a minority view, like abolitionists in 1800 were about 1% of the population or 2%. If you have social bots and social pressure, if it gets attacked, it will try to self-censor. And so what they do is they have an artificial spiral of silence in these AI systems. And they have them in place so that the artificial bots come and herd you. And then the next time they herd you just a little bit by increment, pretty soon they can move you from being a libertarian kind of liberal person to an absolute cult leader or cult follower who will follow anything they're told, censor anything, attack anybody, you name it. And that's even what scientists call Facebook, is the follower factory. And they can produce whatever they want. And it was all tested. I remember 16 years ago being allowed into the UT psychology department, restricted areas, and it was all about this. They had the monkeys and apes. I saw them over camera. They were another facility in Bastrop. I was seeing them from 20 miles away, hooked all in. And they just had flicker rates, and they were having to watch television and practicing manipulating brainwaves. And it was all for screen flicker. It was all DARPA funded. And I was only allowed maybe a minute to see it by someone that thought I should see it. This is an emergency warning to every man, woman, and child, every human on this planet. It is publicly available information that the tech giants have made the decision, working with the large central banks of the world, that under a social Darwinistic plan, it is very moral for them to bring in an AI system of social conditioning that will basically end the human life cycle as we know it and prepare the population for a phase out of at least 90%. That's in the public documents. Now, Elon Musk has come out and warned everyone that the main tech giant heads are crazy. They worship AI gods and believe that they're going to become AI gods. Now, AI is active on the major social networks and is going past the testing phase into the intense phase of mimicking humans, posing as humans, so they can manipulate social groups and then completely cut you off from your real social group, and then artificially use peer pressure to completely control you, to make you depressed, to make you alone, and to make you rendered down into a suicidal basket case. Then they're going to come in with suicide watch, suicide control, and then create a whole new medical industry of the victims, just like drug dealers sell you drugs and then sell you more drugs, and then have you rob houses to get more drugs and basically make you their slaves. You will then be caught in the medical system of Google, Facebook, and Twitter, which are now launching giant medical arms of themselves that will then process you, just like they process the cancer epidemic from what they've added to the food and water. And they never find the cure or find out why it's increasing. They will just then process you like Soylent Green through the euthanasia program. And, of course, you won't be productive, you won't be producing, and so you will opt to then be chemically euthanized, and it'll be done with the spectacular drugs so the last few hours of your hallucinatory death will be promised to be absolutely fabulous. And for the greater good of humanity, your brain will be hooked to electrodes and things so that at least part of your consciousness, they'll first say in the first wave, can be uploaded to it for the great knowledge of humanity. So maybe we're not sure, but maybe you're not really dying. That'll be phase one once they launch main operations, I'd say within about 10 years. So I already pretty much figured all this out, and I've been contacted over the years. Everybody keeps saying, well, the Illuminati ever contact anybody? They were asking Joe Rogan that the other day. He said, no, they never have. Or has the CIA ever contacted you? And he said no. And I use jokes because I went back to the start of this broadcast or the start of me breaking this down to a year ago on Joe talking about human-animal hybrids and AI taking things over and all the rest of it. Now it sounded crazy, and now it's mainstream news. But, see, I have been contacted by the different factions. I have communicated with the different factions. I've told you about this over the years, and I've discussed it. And so, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to a high-level former executive at Facebook. And then last night, I talked to one of the biggest individuals on Facebook who's part of their big leadership program. And he said they're setting up this whole social program that's really going to be the human face of the AI censorship. And that the AI is going to phase out within a few years any human interaction in its, quote, algorithm. And it'll be in lifetime control of everything you try to upload or say or do will first go through a filter. And it's already there. But this will be complete and absolute and total. And they've now admitted to the executives it is for population reduction. And to basically soft kill you and prepare you to want to be euthanized, like the cover of Newsweek, the case for killing Granny, or Bill Gates saying, if we kill Grandma in the last year of life, you will be able to hire 10 teachers. They sell this some game. They sell this, the pie's only this size. And that's what's being sold, and then it's going to be, quote, run a la the Zeitgeist idea by a independent computer, but it was set up and programmed with a mission to depopulate the Earth and save the planet from humans. And that's it. And what's crazy is it's now in the news because metaphysically, a lot of these people understand they have to warn you. And they're having second thoughts about it. They're having second thoughts because their children are growing up in this, and they're noticing that Bill Gates and Steve Jobs would not let their young children up till age, 15 or whatever, have iPhones, have iPads, because he said that brain damaged them and controlled them and was designed to victimize them. But see, they have to tell you that in a little press release. Oh, I don't let my children have that. You shouldn't either. And all the articles saying you shouldn't do it, it's dangerous, it's making you depressed, it's lowering your IQ, it's making you suicidal. And now Facebook, Twitter, and Google are moving in to the stop suicide business. And then, oh, they'll get you into the system, and the bioethicist and get you on some more drugs and things, and then, oh, you committed suicide. And see, even most of the executives won't know the full magnitude. But at the highest levels, they sit around, as Bill Joy said, as Sean Parker said, as Elon Musk said, why the future doesn't need us. 1999, full cover story in Wired. And Bill Joy, co-owner of Sun Microsystems, said, I went to a meeting with the head tech people, and they voted and had a consensus to not just entertain people and phase them out slowly and let them destroy the Earth, but we made the decision to go ahead, and I don't agree with it, and wipe everybody out. Now, Bill Joy didn't get let in all the meetings after that. His partner I saw on PBS, though, that same year going, some people don't want to merge the machines. I do. I look forward to putting not just a chip in my son's hand, but in my young 4-year-old son's brain. And back then, that was all, ooh, now it's ABC News. You will all take chips soon. Why 10,000 U.S. Army troops for depression had chips put in their brains. Why there's a new vaccine we give you that stops depression. It goes in each part of the brain. They're giving people lobotomies. It's already here. And then I've got a stack of news that I mentioned earlier, where any of you could go read it, where they admit all this. And then I'm talking to these people, and they're scared. They're like, our kids are getting hurt by it, even though we don't let them have it, Alex. It's like everybody looks sick, looks like they're dying. People aren't talking. It's breaking up all the relationships. Is there a way to fix it? What do we do? I want to go public, but they're going to kill me, Alex. And this is like Soylent Green, where the executive blows the whistle on what they're doing, and the guy comes with a crowbar and goes, they told me to tell you, sorry, but you're unreliable. Whack in the head. I mean, I'm having Soylent Green discussions with people's names you'd know. And that's where we're at, baby. And so I'm going to say this. This is so horrible that it actually makes me feel good, and I'm going to explain the psychology. I'm sad it's happening, but as a man being lied about, being attacked, seeing all the evil and corruption, it hurts me and gets to me. But then when I realize these people are all just being programmed and used, it makes me feel sorry for them and realize we're all in this together. And I hope we make it out of it. And I hope people wake up, we can change this. So I forgive BuzzFeed and David Hogg and all these people. Look at what a horrible creature Hillary Clinton is, what a horrible demon. I can't forgive her because she's totally turned over to evil. But I'm just saying, I do this for love. I don't do it for hate. And 90%'s been for love, 10%'s been for hate. But I'm giving up the other 10% of the hate. I'm giving it up because we're all in this together. And God, this is ugly and horrible. And it's leading us somewhere so horrible. It's not leading us towards Valhalla or Nirvana or heaven. It's leading us towards Hades, towards hell, towards oblivion, towards annihilation. And it's all the sickest people came up with this, stole our great minds, built this thing that's way more dangerous than hydrogen bombs. Because you know what? Hydrogen bombs could end the planet and end all life, but we have a spirit. It's been proven scientifically, and we'd go on to be with God, some of us. This thing is meant to put you from birth into an artificial system to make sure you never have free will and that may be able to capture the soul. And the Revelation says God won't let it go that far because God's all about free will. And I know this is real, and I know God's real, so I put it all in Christ right now. But I forgive all the people that have attacked me, and I mean that, not trying to sound big. I realized it last night, this morning, because the people I'm talking to are crying, okay? The tech guys are scared, okay? There's one thing to talk about this. It's here, baby. Everybody walled off alone being attacked. Conservatives go in to just try to promote basic human operations, and they get bullied by a bunch of bots. They keep fighting, and that's why they hate Christians, real Christians, is because that's why China's banned Buddhists as well, because they've got something internal that you can't program. And so they know that it can't be overwritten, and it stands in the way of them just getting everybody to just acquiesce to political correctness and all of it, and language, and saying there's not males and females. This is like an alien takeover, but it is. AI is alien. It's artificial. It's total war. It's total weaponization. It's total commitment for total power. And that means overriding everything on Earth, taking it over, and a new silicon-based life form system. This is a total rewrite of the entire civilization, as I've told you for years. And now you see it in the movies and things like Annihilation, where it's like a living nanotech rewriting the planet. That's really what they are already working on. We'll be back. I've recently talked to a former top executive, high-level executive at Facebook, and just yesterday, one of the top people on Facebook. And they're both struggling with wanting to go public and expose that it's designed to make you depressed, designed to take control of your life, and designed soon to have no one you really interact with, only fake avatars and bots, and then you have to basically pay to have access to any of your friends and family. Get you into the cell, get you into the control arm, and then fully take control of you, and it's designed to basically make life completely miserable, so you will then accept going into a totally virtual reality system. First, they capture you in a bad virtual reality. Then they offer a better escape to get you trapped into a deeper labyrinth. And they admit this is the plan. And in China and Dubai and everywhere else, they are putting brain chips in the population. In Sweden, they say you got to have a chip in your hand to get on the train. First half-human robot in Dubai. I'm going to cover that more coming up. You know, it's funny that just happened. Hit pause. Crew, if you're TV viewers, you can see it. For radio, I'll describe it. Will you shrink that image so people can see it fully, please? Thank you. I designed and photoshopped the image that you see that was a magazine cover. And it is, that's from about 5-6 years ago. It is a mountain of human skulls with, in the darkness, an all-seeing eye with a HAL 9000 red eye. And out of the darkness comes some wires into the facsimile of man, into a android that symbolizes the new man that rises out of the ashes. Now, that is the announcement of the globalists this year of what they're actually building. Now, notice I told them, get that ready. I want to describe it like an anglerfish, how it hangs its little light out so things at 10,000 feet in the sea believe it's food, photoplankton, and then it can destroy you and eat you. I was already going to have them ready with the anglerfish, and have it fade into that image. But then they walked in and said, you ought to cover this guy, the first half-human robot in Dubai. Do that again. That is incredible. And it fit perfectly. We weren't even intending to do this. See, that's God working right there. Look at that. And it's perfect. He's saying, look, I can hear and see things, and it gives me all this great stuff in my body. I'm a cyborg. It's so much fun. Here, swim into my mouth. He is the anglerfish light. He is the photosynthesis light. He is dangling out, doesn't even know it, to make people think it's cool and trendy to go into this system. I remember in WashTech, I don't know, about 18 years ago, back when the Washington Post put out it was a monthly tech magazine, and I got a copy of it, and it had a CIA former deputy director saying, oh, we're pushing the whole body modification movement to get you to accept brain chips and stuff soon. We'll have the whole cyborg movement next. He said about 20 years. We'll just roll it out. Chips in the hand, chips in the head. And I'm not against you if you want earrings or studs in your lips or whatever. Some of that, looks good on people. People are like, oh, how dare you be against my tattoos? I'm not saying that. They pushed this, just like they pushed the hip-hop gangster rap to put blacks in prison. That's been declassified. They pushed all of this to bring in full, total control. And that's very bad factions in the CIA. There are good factions that mainly were doing the war fighting who now see what the technocrats have done, and they're like, my God, this is pure evil. So you're in a science fiction movie with the Borg taking over, and that's their own admissions. So here's some of the headlines. Watch the first half-human robot in Dubai, the malicious use of artificial intelligence, forecasting, prevention, and mitigation by the top universities. Look it up. Facebook looks to AI to monitor harmful behavior. So we're bringing AI in to make sure you don't hurt yourself or get depressed or talk about conservatism or God, because that's all harmful. It's whatever we say is harmful. The Guardian, former Facebook executive, social media is ripping society apart. It's designed to. Our minds can be hijacked. The tech insiders who fear the smartphone dystopia. Everything I told you 10 years ago. So the news of decades to come today. And that's why they hate us, and that's why they want to shut down. But it doesn't matter. We've already completed much of our mission. Everything else is now gravy. If you just joined us, the last 35 minutes of the broadcast, I dedicated to a huge stack of mainstream news saying the military's taking brain chips, half-human robots are being launched in Dubai, actual cyborgs. 6 top universities were joined by government experts warning of the malicious use of artificial intelligence, forecasting, prevention, and mitigation. They admit Facebook and all of its designed to make you depressed and make you alone. All of this is being admitted. And I went over a lot of this. Oh, my God, what have we done? Some early Facebook employees regret the monster they created. Well, that's because they were compartmentalized mid-level. Facebook is using AI to help predict when users may be suicidal, but then their own executives say it's meant to make you depressed to control you. But create the problem, offer the solution. Facebook's first president on Facebook. God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. Well, we know it's hurting them. AI just beat top lawyers at their own game. And I got a call a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know what to say or do about it because people call me up crying out for help. Top movie stars, top rock stars, top politicians, top tech leaders, and they always want to have a private conversation or two with me, and they're trying to find the secret to beating it and what to do and who controls it and who's above them. And they think there's like some secret Illuminati that has all the answers. And there's not. The Bible calls it the mystery of evil. There's a force, a energy, a spirit. One of good, one of bad. One of light, one of darkness. And it animates through bad people, and it builds what it wants to build. And you've got to understand that till you understand why kings and queens don't know why this is happening. I've been contacted by British royalty 10 years ago, very close to the crown, saying, what do? We don't want to be part of this. I know medical doctors that have treated them and have told me the same stuff. I've been contacted by heads of state. I've talked to them all. I've talked to people right at the very top, right below the top of Facebook who are scared. And it's not because I'm that special. Everybody else says nothing's going on, everything's fine, everything's wonderful, world government doesn't exist, now world government's a great thing, let's break the family up. These compartmentalized executives only have pieces of it, and they're wondering what's really going on as they see it's very dark, it's very bad, it's hurting everybody, and they're going, I heard you say this 20 years ago and thought you knew part of what you were saying, but thought you were alarmist. You're right. What is the plan? Who are they? How is it running? Why is it so evil? Why can't we stop it? Because it ain't human. That's why. Nobody knows how to stop it. And now it's got AI jacked into everything. The Bible says it fell from the heavens. We're in space, 2 and 2, baby. It's advanced. It don't like us, but it's going to use us to build some stuff first because we're builders. Look at everything we build. It's all we do. Some of the globalists believe we're actually nanotech put here. We're intelligent nanotech, and we're now just reaching mission phase. I'm just here to tell you, when this thing's over with, 90% of you are going to be dead. And the rest of you aren't going to be human anymore. And the decision's been made. So you can make your jokes all day and roll your eyes if you're a Comedy Central writer, or you're some guy at Media Matters sitting there guzzling your soy latte, making soy boy faces, thinking it's all cute. It's not cute. It's not funny. And again, I go back to a clip I saw just a few days ago of Joe Rogan, and I meant to send Nico the clip. I forget the name. And the guy was asking, Crixel, I've met him before. I forget how you pronounce his name. And he was asking him, are you really in the Illuminati? Have you really been approached by the CIA? Yeah, that was the video I was searching for when I found the other one. And Joe explains no. He talks to a lot of big executives and people, and they don't know what's going on, but they're scared too. And that's what I'm telling you is that only at the Rothschild Rockefeller level, and it's a very high advanced DARPA science levels, do they have an idea of what's going on. And they wrote about it in the 1860s right through and envisioned it all. And they're a priest class of very secretive, inbred individuals out of Germany, France, Switzerland, and the UK, mainly. And the Chinese have agreed to the plan. The Japanese are scared to death and have agreed to it. And only maybe 50 people at the top ever know the full plan. But in intelligence, you can always look at what's being set up and get most of it. So we've reverse engineered a lot of it, and 20 years later, our reverse engineering turned out to be remarkably accurate. Because I read a lot of the white papers and things that their underlings were saying, putting out plans of what they were doing, but generally with another cover story. But you could then look at a Manhattan Project and its cover stories and figure out what was really going on if you knew the pieces. So that's why I get contacted by high-level folks, in the government, CIA, corporations, because they don't know. But you don't think they let the whole government know what's going on. You don't think they actually want intelligence agencies knowing what's going on, do you? No, they want them to have missions and be highly scrutinized and controlled and so busy bureaucratically that they don't ever get the full picture of what's going on. And then they're building giant spy grids and tentacles into things and mandating all the hubs and back doors and Trojan horses so that the real systems of Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and now Apple merging with the Chinese government, can launch a huge AI war that's already going on, deciding survival of the fittest, because that's their religion, survival of the fittest with this giant AI war that we're in. And then when the AI war is over, they're just going to decide how to wipe us out. That's why the Chinese government said in Mao's day, said, go ahead and nuke us. We got too many people. That's why the globalists love the Chinese. Chinese elite are like, we're ready to wipe out 99% of these people. We're sick of them. We hate them. Because anybody you feed on and you use as slaves, you metaphysically hate. You ever wonder why a bank robber for no reason will just kind of break some guy's nose or whatever? Because you feel bad about what you're doing, so you go ahead and lash out at them for what you've done. I'm going to go to Roger Stone. We come back with some big breaking news. I just thought that we should tell any men out there and any women who weren't arrested in their development by the low attention span television set and the red dye number 5 and the fluoride and the chlorine and the bromide and the MSG and all the rest of the crap that was all medicalized and put in there on purpose, all declassified to brain damage you and create ADHD and TV shows to shrink the attention span now down to 3 seconds. It used to be about an hour. It's now down to about a few seconds. Goldfish is 7 seconds. We're about 3 seconds in the new studies, the average person. And it's just over. If you understand that a large part of the population's gone already. And they just get a program of, we're winners, we're piling on someone, we're going after Alex Jones, he did this, and it's not even true. And then 10 seconds later, they're on to the whole new delusion, and you look at them, and they look like they're dying, but they don't care because they're dead. They're dead already. Okay, so it's humans against the globalist. It's humans against the AI takeover. And for those of you that can shake out of your control and shake out of your programming and realize that, we may have a chance to at least sue for peace with the AI system and have some type of human future. But right now, the globalists don't respect you and are in the process of chemically, biologically killing you. Roger Stone, former head of the Trump campaign, really smart, political, operative. I call him a libertarian. He just never steers us wrong. He's a really accurate fellow. And I've been having him on the show for like 3 years. And I met him like 4 or 5 years before that at a JFK event. He's a best-selling author on the JFK assassination being a government operation, which most Americans now know to be true, and the evidence has basically come out. But I've told him, I said, listen, I don't tell my talk show hosts what to say or what to do. If I respect people think they're smart, I put them on the air. But I said, sometimes if people keep harping on one thing, I go, you know, I'm sick of hearing about this, and I bet the audience is. And I let the crew tells me I interrupt too much. You know, the crew, I know I got my own problems. I'm not on a high horse here, but I've told Roger, stop defending yourself every time they lie. But that's because I'm interviewing him all the time. I'm following the news. I know what he said in the middle of 2016 when he said, of course I've been sending emails to WikiLeaks and trying to get Assange on. And of course he's on CNN. He's on the New York Times TV show. He's on with Sean Hannity. But he didn't give me any secret info. And I wasn't passing info to him, and that's totally untrue. I've been trying to have intermediaries get a hold of him and find out what's really going on. And one intermediary told me, and he's now released that guy's name. He's testified to Congress. He's a radio host in New York. The guy said, yeah, it's true. I was intermediary trying to see how big is it? What is it about? What's in the WikiLeaks? Well, it's going to hurt Hillary. And exactly what Roger said came out. Now it's in the Atlantic. It is just everywhere. The Washington Post, you name it. Roger Stone communicated directly with WikiLeaks despite denials. Here's the Atlantic. Document Cam, please. Roger Stone was interacting with WikiLeaks during the 2016 presidential campaign. And then they say that they have reconstructed, but they say at the very end of the article, Natasha Bertrand's DMs. But they don't tell you till a blank page at the end. No one would read that unless you fine-tooth combed it. I had that in my page. Let's put it up on screen for people. I guess that one page fell off, where they say these messages have been reproduced by the Atlantic's art team. So where'd they get these? Plus, you read it. It's WikiLeaks going, don't talk to us. You've never talked to us before. And he's like, yeah, I just want you to clear this stuff up. We never talked. We told you we never talked to you. We never will. So you actually read what it says. It's what Roger Stone testified to. It's amazing. So Roger Stone joins us, and this isn't about Russia. We know that's a fraud, the whole thing. It's about the disinfo, ladies and gentlemen, where I said, I believe kids died. I believe these kids aren't crisis actors. But the 4 kids they picked are on the Democratic Party payroll. BuzzFeed now admits that, by the way. I have an article on that right here. Let's document Cam that for TV viewers. The day after it happened, it said the Women's March Group has lent its organizers and funding and everything to it. And then they're on private jets. And it says right here, BuzzFeed, big progressive groups are helping organize the Florida teens. They've taken videos down where we say that. But, oh, BuzzFeed, they're allowed to. So you see, this is the level of deception. So I want to get Roger to pop in because I remember, we can go get the clips. They use it as evidence what was on this show. He's like, of course I'm trying to get him on. We were trying to get him on. I don't know why Assange goes on all the mainstream stuff and then doesn't come on ours. I mean, one time he was interviewed with Jones Dauteur when she was a member of Parliament. He, like, is in the camera trying to go, hey, come on the show. And he, like, wouldn't do it. So, you know, I've never had contact other than sending them probably 500 emails saying, come on the show. So, again, Roger, this is a next-level fake news. They're calling for your arrest, by the way.
Recycle, Alex. All of these questions I addressed under oath for the House Intelligence Committee. All of this material was turned over to them at that time. Someone has doctored a direct mail exchange, making it incomplete, but even that is entirely exculpatory. It proves what I have said, which is I had no advanced knowledge of the source or content of the WikiLeaks disclosures on Hillary. I did have a confirming source, an intermediary who confirmed for me something Assange had actually already said publicly.
And I forget his name. Who's the New York talk show? Who's the New York talk show host?
Randy Credico. Now, I've addressed this under oath before the committee. He ultimately pled the fifth because the whole thing was outrageous. All he did was confirm something Assange has said publicly. Assange has said publicly, repeatedly. We never gave Stone any information. All Stone was doing is following carefully what I said and what I tweeted and reporting it, which is what I told the committee. But
like any good reporter, I remember going, man, can you get him on? Can you talk? Can you find out what it is? And you're like, I'm working through my connections, but he's very close-lipped. We had these conversations on air and off air. They're acting like...
I had no communication with him in 2016. I communicated with WikiLeaks, whoever mans the WikiLeaks desk. I turned that all over. It's innocuous. It's banal.
Let me just stop you. Right before the election, I called Assange names on air for not talking to me or you. I'm not going to say the name I called him. We'll put it on screen, but for radio listeners, I'm not going to say it. I called him a you-know-what plug. I called him Hillary's you-know-what plug because he wouldn't talk to us. I mean, it's incredible how they invert reality. But again, at the very same time, they say you're not allowed to send emails to him asking him to confirm things. And they say, no, we won't talk to you. He's giving interviews in the New York Times, remember?
It's really extraordinary. At the same time, somebody is out planting this story that in 2016, I flew to London to meet with Assange. I've never met Julian Assange, never been in his presence, never spoken to him. I actually just sent the pages, the applicable...
I've got it. We'll put it on screen. We'll put it on screen. You never went to London that year.
Proves that I didn't leave the country at all in 2016. So, I mean, this is just another fake news narrative that somebody is out actively marketing to reporters, CBS, NBC, Associated Press, The Observer, all of them calling saying, did you fly to London to meet with Assange? No. When I was there a couple weeks ago to address the Oxford Union, I was staying in London. I went by and dropped my card off at the embassy, and I also wrote an extensive piece at Infowar about why it's time to stop persecuting a journalist. This guy is being held a virtual captive in a tiny little cramped space. He's not a Russian asset. He is an honest journalist. No one has questioned the accuracy of everything he's posted. I was punking the British media.
But Roger, everyone is allowed to call WikiLeaks and try to get him on. He's been on CNN 20 times. This idea that we're not allowed to talk to WikiLeaks and then they won't talk to us because the media says they say he's a Russian with no proof, and then we're not allowed to talk to him because they're a Russian, but then they can all talk to him. I'm sick of them defining everything.
No, in the public mind, they defined this false narrative that he's somehow a Russian asset, that WikiLeaks is a Russian front, when in fact it's just a news organization, and that there's something improper. If I had communicated directly with them, which I did not, other than what I disclosed to the committee, which is innocuous. We went through this with Guccifer 2.0.
No, I know.
I released all those direct
messages. But shifting gears just briefly, and I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you. We'll be on the War Room today, 3 to 6 p.m. You told me last night, though, and this morning, you do think Kushner is going to get indicted.
I've thought all along long that that is Mueller's next move. He either indicts him for some process-related crime, perjury, or lying to an FBI agent in connection with the Flynn termination.
All right. Thank you, Roger. There is a total war on for all of our minds. I am not angry at people that are under the brainwashing control, even though they do really bad things to me and my family, because I realize they've been programmed. It's like Christ said, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do. Mike Adams is here with us. Thank you for coming to the studio. You're going to be here.
Thanks for having me on.
Riding shotgun, the Health Ranger, just an amazing individual, nationalnews.com. We're going to cover the waterfront. I was talking about what you want to get into. You want to get into Dick's Sporting Goods bans. You want to get into the censorship. You want to get into this whole AI takeover. We're going to cover that all coming up here in a few minutes. I've done an hour and a half and have not plugged anything. And just like Dick's Sporting Goods does this virtue signaling and says, we won't carry assault rifles. That means semi-autos. You got to go to the mom and pops anyways, even though you might pay 5% more because they have more overhead and you can't buy as many firearms, to support people that aren't going to buckle. It's these big box stores, these big globalist groups, these virtue signaling individuals that are the problem. And there's a Dick's close to my house because I live out in West Austin. I tend to go there for quite often. Well, not anymore. I'm not going to be doing that because of this. So the same thing goes, though, for buying our products. Again, I haven't plugged in an hour and a half. Mo Talk Show hosts plug every segment. I don't blame them because, media is a tough business and it's hard to get sponsorship, especially if you're a conservative or libertarian or, want healthy food or a classical liberal. It doesn't matter. But we've got a bunch of specials running right now that are, in some cases, the biggest we've ever had, because I want people to experience how good these products are. And because we're being censored, because we're being attacked, I ran a bunch of products, 50% off, like the fluoride-free toothpaste and like the Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula and others. Those sold out. So we've got 20% off on super high-quality body armor, including backpack inserts that are so important for yourself and your children. This is something when you're just out around town, you name it, that's good to have. Also, we've got 30 to 80% off site-wide, massive limited-time savings. That's part of this Operation Paul Revere that we're going to kick off tomorrow at 8 a.m. with David Knight and run through the next day at 6 p.m. with the War Room with Owen Schroyer. We're going to be live for 34 hours kicking off tomorrow. Operation Paul Revere to defend the First Amendment, to defend internet freedom, and, of course, on top of all of that, we're going to do this so we can defend the Second Amendment. The NRA has seen record contributions come in, and that's good because they saw record sponsors cut. But it turns out the amount of money that came in just matched what they lost. Well, hey, we're here too. And I say support the NRA, absolutely. We need your financial support. So if you need water filtration, air filtration, you name it, it's all 30 to 80% off almost all items. There's a few things where we're making like 30% profit on the food. You can't 30% off or it's at cost. And they won't even let you do that. So there's a few things in there that are regular price because they're already so low. But we already only mark stuff up at regular sell price at 100% markup. But we're never at 100%. We're usually at about 50% off markup. So we're talking 50%. Everybody else is 3-4 times markup. And I get it with taxes, regulations, the bureaucracy. You're running any company. You get lawsuits, just all sorts of, crazy fake stuff, especially if you're Infowar. So what I'm saying is we need your support. We make it easy. 30% off almost all items site-wide to help save. That's 30 to 80% off almost all items site-wide to help save while supporting the truth. We constantly under threat and are being censored and need your support to fight back. The unprecedented sales covers almost all products, including supplements, outdoor gear, apparel, movies, documentary films, and more. The only exceptions, again, are body armor, Harvest Right free dryers, and the T-shirt of the month, which will stay at the everyday low prices. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to get 30 to 80% off almost all the products in the store. And we've got
just very important as an independent voice here. Over the last several years, your organization and mine have both become very, very mainstream producers of many health-enhancing products. And I got to say, the value of what you're offering people is quite extraordinary, because if they go into a retail channel, there's so much markup in the retail channel that the ingredients have to be really, really cheapened. If it's, at a Whole Foods or at a grocery store or something like that, the value of the ingredients that you're putting in because you're selling directly to people is really extraordinary. I know I've got some of your products in our lab that we're looking at, and the potency that we're seeing right now is just super high. So I mean, I know you didn't have me here to endorse your product line, but
I appreciate you doing it because I mean, look, I know we're to target. Plus, I want to sell good stuff. We just go out to the industry leaders and say, what's the strongest turmeric out there? Well, 450 milligrams with a 90-something curcumin, and I mean, you're an expert in all this. Yeah. That's as high as the industry gets. We go with that. A lot of folks, as you said, they're going to want to mark stuff up 6, 7 times. So they want it to be low price. Right. So it's $30, but there's $1 a product, not $10 a product.
You see that all the time. All the time. And it's the curcuminoids. And if you know, there's so much amazing scientific research and medical research out there on so many of the benefits of curcumin. You know, I think we published stories today on that. You know, for sports, for fitness, for recovery, for...
There's a lot we're not supposed to say, but it's known.
Exactly. There's things we can't say. Both of us can't say.
Because the country's so free.
Yeah.
You know, there's thousands of studies of what it does. And it's the ultimate antioxidant. And so, look, it's sold out in a month. I did 50% off. And we still made like, $6, $7 a bottle. Now it's going to be regular price, and it's still a good deal. But I want folks to see how good it is. So that's sold out. The point is that we've got clearance apparel 80% off, Treeway 50% off, Aegis body armor 20% off, Infowars Life Mind and Body that is 40% off. And I'm going to stop right there. All I'm saying is, please support the broadcast and take advantage of this and let the globalists know, no matter how hardcore their attacks are, you're going to continue to support us because they just had a big site yesterday claim they weren't sponsoring us anymore, and they never sponsored us, but they were trying to get other sponsors to pull. It was a total hoax.
Of course. That's what they do all the time. It's all a disinfo war. That's their goal the whole time. But I got to say, Alex, I think one of the main reasons that you are under attack and that YouTube is engaged in this massive censorship purge is because something bigger is coming. They have to shut off the voices that could argue with the official narrative. I'm
going to stop you right there. I'm going to give you the floor when we come back.
All right.
That's the big enchilada. I had 3 people in the office come to me yesterday, and they go, Alex, you're not getting it. John Harmon and several others, don't want their names mentioned, that work here in the office, they came to me and they said, Alex, and they're always like hesitant to tell me stuff, like I want to hear stuff. But see, it's in the ether, the knowledge. You're one of the smartest guys I know. So when we come back, we're going to talk about this. They've all come to me, and they've all said, boss, obviously they're trying to censor everybody. They're trying to set a precedent. This is about censorship. But it's about a giant false flag that's coming, and they don't want us there when it's happening. They're scared because they keep having trouble pulling them off. And clearly that's all they've got left, and you're calling it the mother of false flags. So when we come back, we're going to cover why they don't want us on the air, why they're lying about what we said, and where things are going. But stop right there. You've talked enough about Infowars, News Wars, the rest of it. I feel good knowing Natural News is there, your science side is there, one of the top testing labs in the country you've got, and the fact that you've been so successful despite what they've done, that's so great. Spend a minute or two talking about naturalnews.com.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Naturalnews.com, every day we publish 20-plus stories on health freedom, food freedom, and also liberty. And I got to say, we've got some major premium sites we've just launched, science.news, food.news, and medicine.news. And that's where you can actually find stories about the ingredients that sometimes are used in your products. You can find the mainstream science. We scour over 1,300 science and academic journals and have a massive writing staff to cover the breakthroughs in nutrition science and medicine. And it's on all those websites. Of course, all the content is free. You know, it's incredible what's out there if you just go looking for it. The mainstream media won't tell you that, you know, the health benefits of these ingredients, and they prohibit me from saying some of the things as well. But if you go look at the science, it's all right there. So we're just working for liberty. We're working to awaken people. We know that you have to have a healthy mind in order to be aware of what's happening. If they dumb you down and poison your brains, they can prevent you from learning the truth or even from remembering the fake news that they said 2 days ago that they switch every 48 hours. You notice that, Alex? They're changing the narrative every
They removed a video that a week and a half ago where we said Sheriff Israel stood down. Now it's all confirmed. They just remove it, and then they say the video said kids didn't die. Then we put the video up, it gets 7 million views.
Right. No, it's all confirmed that those deputies were ordered to stand down. Absolutely.
The deputies said, hey, quit bitching. We were told to stand down.
Right. It's confirmed, and the EMTs were told to stand down.
That's in the local news. We were told to stand down.
Yes. So it's confirmed now.
You know those deputies don't stand down. Those guys love a fight.
Of course. I know a lot of deputies. They would all rush in unless they were ordered to stand down.
And there's the next issue. Stop following illegal orders.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come back. We're going to break? Is that?
We're going to break. We're going to come back with your big mother of all false flags.
All right.
Because I've had 4 people now in 24 hours tell me this is up. Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, healthranger.com, naturalnews.com, is riding shotgun with us for the balance of the transmission. And I cut him off earlier because I wanted him to take his time rolling out what his really smart mind thinks is next. And I'd thought about this myself, but then never said it on air. And I had a couple people come up to me yesterday, 3 people, and bring this up, which shows it's in the ether. It's really important. They don't want independent media questioning events. They don't want us talking to eyewitnesses when there's events. We said the sheriff's department stood down. They did. They took a video down where we said that. They misconstrued what the video was, but we had Infowars to put up the raw videos, Drudge linked to it, 7 million views, blew up in their face. They put more strikes on yesterday, also saying we said nobody died. The video, we actually said people died. They took the strike off. No one's reporting that, though. Shows, CNN, MSNBC, Comedy Central are saying ban Infowars. 3 strikes, you're out is so Americans, the quote on one of the shows on Comedy Central. So they're making it American to ban people and lie about what they said. It's getting crazy. And now this, Greece man accused of making terroristic threat in YouTube video because there's a school behind him. He's saying, shoot, shoot. So again, this hysteria is accelerating. Dick's Sporting Goods, major gun retailer, stopped selling assault rifles and weapons. Mike Adams, obviously something big is here. The globalists are trying to take control of this country. They are trying to bully us into submission. It's happening worldwide. They admit they are. What do you see in the tea leaves with not just Infowars, but thousands of prominent libertarian, conservative, nationalistic, natural health sites? Anything grassroots, anything pro-people, anything popular is being deleted, being blocked, being slandered.
It's extraordinary. First, let's examine the level of content selective censorship, which means that YouTube and other content platforms, tech giants, they are picking a side and then declaring that the other side of the debate has no right to speak. And ultimately, what the left believes is that individuals such as yourself, and perhaps myself as well, have no right to exist. They believe that President Trump has no right to be president. They believe that any conservative or libertarian voice has no right to exercise a First Amendment right.
In fact, they're calling for me to be banned from YouTube, period.
Absolutely.
And once that's done, it's banned everywhere digitally in this age. That is the mark of the beast.
Make no mistake, they would prefer to see you absolutely obliterated and destroyed. In the same way that they call for murdering President Trump, they call for murdering Milo Yiannopoulos or Ann Coulter or other conservative speakers. You know, UC Berkeley, the students there penned articles in the student paper where they said that they have the right to murder conservative speakers in order to stop their speech because they consider words to be violent.
Texas State says in the front page, whites are subhuman and our genetics are bad.
Well, yeah, that's just another example of this. But where is this going? First of all, they have to silence anyone who can dissent, anyone who can question the official story, because they have to be able to control the official story when the next big thing happens, which I'm calling the mother of all false flags. They have to make sure that no one can question the narrative. Right now, Xi in China, the leader there, he is trying to say that he should be emperor forever, that there should be no more elections. The term, I believe the term in Chinese is I do not agree or I disagree. That term has now been banned across all social media of China. That is a
You've got offices in near China. Your wife's Chinese.
Taiwanese. In Taiwan.
Taiwanese. So you know these things. And again, our media goes, oh, he's about to be a dictator. It's already the Chinese party that elects him. He's already a dictator of an oligarchy. But now he wants for life to be put in, and there was only 2 articles by the other side of the Communist Party that mildly said this might cause some turmoil, and our media criticized them for doing it. Our media, Apple now moving to China with the code keys. How big is that?
Well, yeah, it's huge, but remember that the history of the Cultural Revolution in China is that young children in that time were told to murder their parents or to call the government on their parents. They literally took people out of their homes and beat them to death. This was the youth.
Antifa. Antifa, all of it, Black Lives Matter, models themselves after Mao's Red Brigade.
You got it. That's exactly it. And Antifa in Austin, Texas, right here in Austin, Texas, Antifa, according to recent reports, is now recruiting mentally ill individuals to be used as human weapons against their intended target.
So now, just like Google can ban the word gun, they're banning I disagree.
Right, in China. Now, this is a reflection of exactly what's happening in YouTube, Facebook, Google, and Twitter, and it's being directed against you. Now, my my conclusion, Alex, is that this is not a standalone issue. This is a prelude to something much bigger that's coming, where they must control the narrative in order to get away with it. What I'm calling the mother of all false flags. Now, we could all take educated guesses about what those false flags might be, but what we do know for sure is that it's going to follow the pattern of false flags that have always taken place. And I want to clarify, so that there's no fake news about this, a false flag is a real event. It's real carnage with a fake narrative. All right, so I want to be clear about that. I don't want anybody to accuse us of saying that.
Sure, they define false flag as being Truman Show, everything's fake. No, you can let somebody attack. Yes. You can open the door. You can stand down.
That's right. The attacks were real. Children died in Florida at the Parkland High School. But the narrative is unraveling by the hour. The narrative is fake. Now, that is small scale compared to what they likely have planned. Something that could cost the lives of potentially tens of thousands of Americans. But they will make sure that they blame you. They will make sure that the scapegoat, there's always a scapegoat, that person will be a Trump supporter. That person will be an NRA member, let's say.
Oh, clearly they're setting Infowars up to be like our supporter does it or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. They'll make sure that there are cookies in that guy's web browser for Infowars.com. They've done that before, as you know. That's not the first time that's happened. They will set it up, and they'll have a scapegoat.
Well, they'll announce the day of an event that turns out to be staged, that he visited Infowars. Well, the site gets millions of visitors a day. Most people have been to it.
Right. And in reality, it's the left that is deranged, that is seething with anger, that is calling for violence. We're talking about a lunatic liberal mob that is engaged in mob violence and mob screaming and mob anger. Look at that CNN town hall event, how they were screaming.
Burn her.
Dana Lash. Yeah, burn her. They were screaming at Marco Rubio.
I mean, were they watching Monty Python, Holy Grail? Witch.
Yeah, I know. But it is no joke that it's a Salem witch trials kind of environment.
They're saying burn good-looking women. Like, what archetype is that?
Well, and
how do you look at a good-looking woman and say, I want to burn her? Huh?
But I
don't want to do that to Dana Loesch.
Dana Lash deserves tremendous respect for standing up to those.
Loesch or Lash?
It's Lash. It's actually pronounced Lash, but it's spelled Loesch. Yeah, so I get it. But anyway, she has incredible courage. And what I'm seeing now across the independent media is a galvanizing of independent people, publishers, content creators, radio hosts, who are now all saying, guess what? If we don't work together, we are all going to perish and be destroyed by this radical left-wing regime.
Well, imagine, they call her a murderer. First they demonize you, then burn her, burn her. And she had to leave. Her women were rushing the stage trying to attack.
Yes.
Because they're all nonviolent, nice people. They just want our guns, and then Malice Youth Brigade time.
Well, they're deranged. I mean, it's almost like there's been some kind of lobotomy, like someone's drilled into their brains.
It's like spiritual. It's like suddenly, like one fire ant bites you, and the other 20 that crawl up your leg, they all start stinging. It's like pheromone. It's like they're...
But I think they have to have a daily dose of hatred from late-night so-called comedians, you know, who are pushing hatred all the time. You know, these daytime TV talk shows are pushing hatred all the time. The fake news media is pushing hatred. You know, in truth, most people support the Second Amendment because they want to be able to defend themselves against just exactly the kind of lunatics that are these raging mobs that pose a danger to civilization. You know, you think about it. Why do we need a Second Amendment? You know, it's not just what the Founding Fathers said, which was to defend yourself against a future potential government that becomes tyrannical and out of control. It's also, you need to be able to defend yourself against a lunatic mob. That is.
Well, that's what the Second Amendment generally is for. I mean, it can be for a corrupt government. That's rare. Criminals and mobs.
That's right.
Mobs is the biggest.
And
lynchings.
We live in a republic, right? Not a democracy, which means the mob cannot take away your individual liberties because they're guaranteed by the Bill of Rights.
That's right. You're on fire, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, naturalnews.com. What type of false flag do you see happening in your gut, in your mind's eye?
The most likely event that, and again, I don't hope this happens in any way whatsoever. This would be disastrous. But the easiest thing for a left-wing terrorist to do is to get a hold of medical, radiological isotopes, combine it with a kinetic bomb, a chemical bomb, and create basically a dirty bomb that they unleash in a city. Possibly if they want to murder President Trump, which they openly talk about, they would try to do that when he is visiting a city. That kind of terrorist attack has a very large area effect and a long-term radiological poisoning effect. Once you inhale those radiological particles...
There's no going back.
Right. Strontium-91 is a common isotope used in medical imaging equipment. It is out there. You know, someone who wanted to be a terrorist could find it and they could commit terror. And by the way, the FBI has a history of recruiting homeless people to commit, you know, fake crimes so they can stop the terrorism and claim that they caught a terrorist. That's been done repeatedly.
But the leftist groups in the FBI, they could let that slip through. We'll be right back with Mike Adams. He's on fire. I'm Alex Jones. We're up the phones up a little bit later as well. Stay with us. Hour number 3. Mike Adams riding shotgun with me. He wants to get a Dick's Sporting Goods and censorship. We'll do that next segment. You were saying some really important stuff during the break. When do they push too far? How long do we put up with this? The censorship, the bullying, the insanity?
Well, I believe they're already pushing too far. Public trust in these institutions that were once bulletproof, so to speak, that had blind faith and blind trust, that public trust has been, it's gone. I mean, who trusts the FBI anymore? Who trusts the central banks or the Federal Reserve? Who trusts Google anymore? You know, Google started out as do no evil. Now, pretty much they're synonymous with evil at this point. Who trusts YouTube to bring you the most relevant videos? People know they're being censored, that YouTube is deciding what you can see and what you can't see, and they're doing so based on their own political biases. So the public trust, I mean, even in education, even in local government, public trust in the Broward County Sheriff's Department, whose deputies stood down while the shooting was taking place, the public trust is gone. And what that means is that there will be an opportunity to rebuild public trust in something that's rooted in more reality, more truth. Independent media, for example, what you're doing here at Infowar, what I'm doing at Natural News, and many other people out there. We are actually, I believe, the future of real news for America. I mean, CNN is finished. Who believes CNN anymore? Fake news, green screens, Anderson Cooper, Mr. CIA guy. The town hall, everything's fake. I mean, not fake, but arranged. You know, the questions were arranged. You have to ask this question to that person.
Well, yeah, it's real students, but they give them fake questions.
Right. Real students.
It's scripted.
Scripted, exactly. Who trusts CNN anymore? No rational, reasonable person trusts CNN anymore.
All I know is CNN says we're filing complaints to shut Infowars down. They get videos taken down. We didn't even say what they said by a long shot. And then the news goes, Jones claims CNN's complaining. And Jones claims there's a campaign to take him down. But yeah, let's take him down. It's like mentally ill doublethink. It's like you're at the Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
Yeah.
But they're doing it on purpose. They go, okay, they know we're lying. Let's just scramble everything until they go into fetal positions.
Well, yeah, make no mistake. Every mainstream media outlet, or what used to be mainstream, every day they get a memo. That memo tells them exactly what words and phrases to use, what fake allegations to make toward President Trump or Alex Jones. They are told exactly what
they've had CNN shows where one ends with Stelter. Jones is horrible, has to be banned. He claims the sheriff's department stood down. They come back and Jake Tapper comes on with a whole show about the stand down.
Yes.
It's not even congruent.
Well, I cited a CNN article by Jake Tapper that reported that they stood down. Tapper wrote that. I mean,
that's what I mean, though. They're like, we can tell you they stood down, but you said it first, you can't.
Right, exactly. Because you were correct before they were correct, because you have better analysis, because you have more history of understanding how these things work. You're the bad guy, even though they confirmed exactly what you said. It's unreal, the level of deception that's out there today.
And they can't keep track of it, because, I mean, telling the truth is easy because you do the research. But with them, imagine lying all the time. Who can keep track of it?
Well, no, it's hard enough to keep track of just telling the truth and all the stories that we both publish at our organizations. That's a full-time job, but I don't know how they keep track of all their deceptions. But again, they get a memo every day. The thing is, you know, journalism is truly, mainstream journalism is dead in America. It doesn't exist anymore because those so-called journalists, they don't ask questions. They're incapable of thinking for themselves. They're incapable of challenging the status quo. And it's only in the independent media that you have individuals who are willing to stand up and say, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. Why did these sheriffs not enter the building when they're trained to enter the building? They're all trained in active shooter scenarios. Why were the EMTs?
And they come out and say, well, first they told us wait body cams. Well, they told us not to go in. And then the question is, why did Israel do that?
Just the ability to ask a reasonable question is under assault in this country today.
The bigger, exactly, but why would they have to wait for Sheriff Israel to tell them to go in?
Right, right. I would have gone in right that second. You just lay down.
And the media goes, oh, no, you wouldn't. You're a coward. Okay, well, the trained cops are supposed to, and most cops will do that. I mean, a cop, think there's a robbery, they always go in. Well, why not at school shootings? I didn't get to this yesterday, but I want to get to it because Mike's here and he was bringing it up. Coming up, these video clips where CNN, MSNBC said, women can't shoot guns. Women can't carry guns. They're wearing dresses. They don't know how to use them. We can't arm teachers. I mean, it's
women carrying like 6 concealed guns.
Oh, well, it's just crazy. And in the Olympics, women shoot as good or better than men.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You take women out, it's true. Women learn how to shoot quicker because they don't have preconceived notions.
They're very good with firearms when they're trained.
Well, I've taken out with like Mike Judge and others whole strings of Hollywood starlets because we like to deprogram them. And we just set them down with like a, AR-15. And that's why they want to ban that because it's such an easy gun to use. And they're shooting bullseye at like 200 yards in like 10 minutes. And they're like, my God, this is incredible. I'm pro-Second Amendment. It's over.
Yeah, and there's almost no recoil, too. I mean, it's easy to handle.
So that's coming up in a minute, but you want to get into Dick's Sporting Goods, too. But you wanted to get back into the whole censorship and the massive push happening there because it's all over the news saying ban Infowars.
Look, just a final thought.
The Klepper guy last night said, here's videos we think violate the rules. Ban him. And so there's nothing more America than 3 strikes. Ban Jones.
Well, effectively, though, YouTube's rules come down to you have to agree with YouTube. That's really what the terms of service user agreement is at this point. Now, but the question is, if they're going to pick a side of every public debate, they're picking a side, and they're saying that the side that they don't like gets censored, blacklisted, and banned, then you got to ask the question, number one, how dangerous is that for a so-called free society? If you cannot engage in a debate, you cannot have a dissenting view. But the bigger question is, how does YouTube decide that what's correct? What is their ultimate divine source of truth and wisdom that they use as a gauge to ban all opposing views? Because the answer is they're looking at the mainstream media, which we know is fake news. So if CNN is their holy grail of truth and wisdom, their entire basis is fake, and they're banning actually the voices that are based in truth and based in evidence and logic and reason. That's the danger. That it's not, see, Alex, it's not just about Infowars, being silenced or you being silenced. It's about, and you spoke about this a lot, it's about the banning of logic and reason and the ability to say 1 + 1 = 2. It's
about banning everybody. That's what's crazy. About 3 weeks ago, they had Wall Street Journal articles saying we met with Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and we're going to call it bullying and ban basically all this pollution online, starting with Alex Jones. And then you see all the different CNN hosts, you name it, using the same term, pollution, garbage, time to take, it's like Dan Rather saying it. They've got Stelter and Beck on the same show with Hogg saying, ban me. And then Hogg's calling me all these names and saying, I'll debate you, I'll destroy you. I go, come on. And he goes, no, I won't. And then the headline is Jones begs Hogg to come on.
Well, let's be clear. Hogg, he's later, the left will consider him to be, in their own words, a useful idiot. Okay, I'm not calling him cognitively impaired.
That's a Lenin term.
That's a term that
he's a high school senior public figure.
That's right.
Calling me a piece of SH-you-know-what-T and other things. So we're allowed to say we believe he's a PR person on the left. Hell, BuzzFeed admits it. He's funded by him.
Well, right here. The truth is, being able to survive gunfire does not make you an instant expert on Second Amendment issues or complex legislative issues. We love young people. We love kids to be safe and to have their right to
But they're not our leaders.
They don't have the life experience yet to be able to talk about these complex issues.
It's a flattering photo of me, though.
But, look, these kids, I'm glad that they're speaking out, but they do not have the right to violate our Second Amendment rights.
Like a chipmunk on PCP. Sorry. Look, there's another one. Look at the images they use. Sorry. That's a good one, huh?
Oh, my. Okay. Well, for radio listeners, they'll just have to imagine that.
Oh, my gosh,
it is entertaining. But
I'm just having fun with this.
No.
But notice how he puts an American flag behind him to make fun of us.
Right.
When they want to destroy the country. They're globalists. They want open borders, you name it.
Right. Well, look.
What's weird is how they copy everything we do.
Well, of course, because it's effective. But can I talk about Dick's Sporting Goods for a second?
Yeah, I want you to. Whatever you want to.
Maybe you've already covered this, but I think all Infowars listeners should just stop buying anything from Dick's at this point.
I think Dick's is a serious, you know what?
Well, look, it's not illegal to sell firearms, but they want to ban them anyway through their own retail stores. And by the way, I haven't met a single leftist who can accurately define so-called assault rifle in the first place. None of them know what that means. None of them seem to know the difference between, semi-automatic, or I think CNN said fully semi-automatic, which is just the laughingstock of the internet right now. Fully semi-automatic. They don't understand the difference between calibers. They don't understand the difference between, you know, a 300 blackout cartridge versus a 5.56. They don't understand a pistol configured AR, like an AR pistol versus an AR rifle, or let's say an arm brace. They have no idea what I'm even talking about. They have no idea. And by the way, there are pistol calibers that are far more powerful than the 5.56 caliber for an AR.
They're choosing that, even though it's in less than 2% of the crimes, to set the precedent to ban all semi-auto. The bill introduced by Feinstein today bans all semi-auto.
Yeah, of course.
So they just go, oh, it's this one gun. And why in every mass murder at the schools are they on drugs and they pick this gun? If that isn't scripting, it just shows the media tells them what to use. It's like, this is the gun.
Yeah.
This is how you do it.
Yeah. Well, and actually what they have in common, a lot of these school shooters, they've been bullied by their classmates. They're on psychiatric medications. They're infatuated with dead animals, usually, and death and sometimes satanic stuff, satanic imagery.
Almost always.
Like you get in the Hollywood, you know, movies or Super Bowl halftime. Usually it's satanic imagery during the Super Bowl, you know, music pieces.
They're always into shoot 'em up video games.
Always. It seems to be the case. But it's all these factors that come into play. And then, yeah, they like knives and guns as well. But you can't just say, oh, it's the NRA. Oh, burn Dana Lash. You know, that's absurd. You have to look at the multiple factors.
You don't want to burn her. You want to be nice to her.
Yeah, of course. I mean, she's the one who's standing up for your right to protect your family, if you think about it.
We don't want to burn her. She's pretty.
Well, these left-wing, I'll leave that comment to you. I'm just enamored with her courage, all right, and her Second Amendment stance. To me, she's beautiful because of that, and everything.
I know. We're having fun. The point is that we pull back from this and we look at this and we see what's unfolding here, and we need to play some of these clips coming up in the next segment and then open the phones up. But obviously, school shootings are still very rare. They hype them up. They're tragedies. They're projecting all this on us and saying, you know, hashtag kill NRA members and billboards, and it's a ridiculous PR stunt. The media seized on this. They're driving ahead. They're never going to give up. So the question is, where does it all end?
Well, this is going to end very likely in civil war, I believe, ultimately. I don't know if it's okay for me to say that right now. But
well, no, the left says, Rob Reiner says, we're in a civil war.
Well, I believe the Infowar stage of the civil war has begun. And you are one of the targets of that. They have to control the narrative.
By the way, Resist 45 is Antifa, is the George Soros group that did full-page ads in the New York Times. They pay for a deal saying, kill the NRA.
Well, of course. And I think that these radical left-wing, many young people,
they mean kill the American people being able to resist themselves from us, the little pot-bellied communists.
Well, look, they planned on inauguration.
Translating Rob Reiner, I want to enslave these people like we did the Russians. We'll teach them. We'll stop the Christians to death. Their women are ours. We're almost there, ready to break their will. Please help Hollywood destroy them. Oh, yeah. But that's happening because Hollywood is collapsing.
Yeah. Well, again, it's that public faith in all these institutions is collapsing. But in its place is going to rise up really a new, I think, a society that's rooted in more morals and values. See, the left doesn't like any values. They don't want you to have any.
Because then you stand for something and they can't turn you into a victim. They run.
Right. And while they're murdering 900 babies a day at the abortion mills, and then they scream about children in school.
Oh, did you hear Planned Parenthood is, in this BuzzFeed article, is the second largest sponsor after the Women's March, which is George Soros, to learn the kids to protect themselves. They want to, oh my God, we couldn't kill you in the womb, so now we want to run your life.
Well, I mean, according to the abortion industry, the only thing wrong with the Parkland high school shooting is that those children weren't young enough. If they had been just being born, the left would think murdering them is perfectly okay with them.
You know, I tweeted an image yesterday that said, image of Planned Parenthood versus image of the NRA. One of them sells arms. The other defends the Second Amendment.
And one of them harvests arms and skulls and organs to sell to medical research.
But that's liberal, just like China.
That's the abortion industry. It's sick.
Mike Adams is my guest. We're going to take some calls coming up in the next two segments, specifically on which side do you stand? Where is this fight going? How much crazy will the globalists get? How nuts is their bottom line? How far will they go? Toll-free number to join us, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539 for your quick comment or question. For myself or Mike Adams, 877-789-2539. And that's what you were saying during the break before we get to these clips, is where they condescend women and say, you know, they don't know how to have firearms. They're wearing skirts. They couldn't wear them. But a female police officer, she can have a gun. It's just, you know, the way the left operates. But you were saying, which side are you on?
Well, it's very crucial to make a decision now. Obviously, your listeners know what side they're on. They're on the side of this constitutional republic, the side of liberty. But even leftists out there, they think they're on the side of social justice. But they're calling for basically the selected elimination of the First Amendment, and then the elimination of the Second Amendment, and basically the elimination of the Fourth Amendment, because they believe government has the right to be weaponized and spy on you.
Like authoritarians do every time.
Absolutely. But what they don't yet realize is that all of these weapons will be turned against themselves. That's what happens in every communist-style radical left-wing revolution.
It always does.
North Korea. Yeah, always.
They are. The people that take them to power are always called the useful idiots. Hitler called the SA that.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, countries like Cuba, or especially like North Korea, they started out as a revolution in the name of social justice, or communist China started out as a revolution in the name of equality, and it has become a totalitarian regime. And what these leftists need to realize is that you can never be radical enough to fit into the current lunacy of the liberal mob. For example, a few years ago, if you were a gay couple, you were part of the LGBT movement. You were part of the left. You were accepted. You were, let's say, a gay white couple. But today, if you're a gay white couple, well, you're white. So you're not gay enough.
I've noticed in England and stuff, they make whites at liberal events, even if they're gay, pay to get in, but nobody else.
Right, right. So now
it's all like, we're going to teach you how to be discriminated against.
You have to be non-white gay to be okay, to be accepted now. So you're discriminated against for being white, even if you're a gay couple. And it's just going to continue. It's this weird liberal equation that always changes. Like, you have to be...
Well, because they know it's overs and window. They make it incredibly insane and say we're banning the word mother and father. And major universities come out from, what is it, Oxford to Purdue, and say, don't say man in your papers,
right,
or we'll mark you, because that's a word of evil. It's like, that sounds crazy. It's meant to make you put up with anything. It's like Thulsa Doom telling the woman jump off the cliff. They're like, why? It's an exercise of power.
But what goes along with this desire to twist and control your logic and reason is also this desire to control your language, to shape your words and limit your words. So you can't say these particular words, but you can't search
buy a gun on Google now. You can on shopping. You can't search, like you said, in China. What's the new term?
I disagree, or I do not agree.
Yeah, that's mainstream news.
Right.
I disagree is now banned.
Right, right.
And Apple has moved over there and is going to help do that.
Well, of course, and this is a technocracy, as you mentioned in the last hour, I believe. It's a technocratic, totalitarian takeover attempt of our society. You know what's crucial here is, think about it, the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights was written to protect us from government's attempts to suppress free speech. But the First Amendment did not write in protections against corporations attacking your free speech rights. And that's where the shift needs to happen. We need to understand.
Well, people noticed, and I like Tucker Carlson, he said these kids are scripted. They're not actors in the sense that they're fake. They are on the acting club. It is scripted. They've been brought in. They're being protected. The sheriff stood down. He was saying that 3 days after. He doesn't get banned because they're not ready to go for something that's establishment like that yet. Right. They're just going to get rid of it all down here, and then they can get that. And damn it, Tucker Carlson calls me, texts me, wanted to come here, wanted to have dinner. He's a good guy. I haven't even emailed him or called him yet. He's a nice guy, but he's, Fox has banned him coming on the show. That's fine. But he needs to come on and decry this, because News Corp CEO 3 weeks ago was in the news saying, we've done a deal to call everything bullying with Google and censor the internet left and right, so we can only have corporate stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and Google. And you know what? We need to not just protest Congress and not just warn Trump and not just protest Google. We need to say to Tucker Carlson, hey, buddy, we support your free speech. You need to talk about this.
It's fascinating to me that Tucker Carlson today sounds a lot like the questions that you were asking 3 years ago, or even Sean Hannity today, or even Rush Limbaugh.
Which I like.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying, that they are eventually coming around to asking the questions that need to be asked. All these roads, when you begin asking, you eventually get to Infowars, because Infowars is always pioneering, asking the tough questions, trailblazing the...
Well, let's just be clear, only because we're really trying to figure stuff out.
I know.
Everybody else just gets a talking point like, what's our agenda? Let's say this. No. People go, why does Jones say one thing one week, another next? Because we're figuring it out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're analyzing it, and you're asking real questions. No one hands you a script of what to say every day. No one hands me a script. And by the way, that's why...
When you go on almost any other show, they like want to control it. And
that's right.
What are we going to do?
That's right. And any given day, by the way, like my podcast and your broadcasts, they are totally different. They don't match up, except maybe by rare coincidence. Why is that? Because no one tells us what to say. It's not coordinated.
But look at the four networks. It was always same ads, same order, same newscast.
Exactly. But my point is, even these mainstream people like, Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity, Hannity today, he's been going down that rabbit hole more and more, looking at
because that's where it is.
Exactly.
And notice he got even bigger.
Exactly. He's having more success. Because
by the way, the word is they've got the knives out. They have threatened him.
Oh, of course
everything.
They have.
But see, he has a radio show that's even bigger. So they know anywhere he goes, if he went to a new network TV, it'd be a whole new Fox News. That guy is way more powerful than Roger Ailes ever was. If he wanted to go start the thing, he could do. That's why they're still keeping him there, and they don't know what to do.
Yep. I think Hannity made a decision that he's willing to risk his entire career to help protect us.
I know people that were in the meetings.
Oh, really?
They've called him in and said, get your stuff, you're fired.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't back down, and they go, okay, well, we're rethinking it.
Not surprised. But that's why I respect people like that, and I respect Tucker Carlson for what he does. I know he's got limits and boundaries and things he's not willing to do, but I respect at least he's willing to ask some
Sure, all I'm saying is that no one in the media except Matt Drudge of DrudgeReport.com would actually put the video up of me saying, we believe kids died, we do not believe they're crisis actors, there was a stand down, here's our video about a stand down, and about multiple shooters. And then who needs CNN? It had 7 million views.
This is the key, though. The banning of your speech and taking away your First Amendment rights is so that you cannot respond to the false allegations against you.
So they can say, I said, I want to have sex with children when I didn't.
This is the whole point. First, they want to disarm all of you, take away your right to self-defense, and then they want to silence you and take away your right to defend yourself verbally against the false attacks and the false allegations and the defamation attempts that are routinely leveled.
But I like the good news you said, and we'll play the clips next segment. I like what you said, because it's true. More and more conservative libertarian groups.
Yep. It's happening.
I don't want to talk about this on air and give the enemy ideas, but it's exciting. Just like I went and spent $300,000 on Limbaugh's show, and they were trying to get it canceled 5 years ago. Plus, the price was half of what it normally was. So we actually, sold a lot of product. It was successful for us, but we helped him. I told other people to go sponsor him. A lot of big people did. Several big food companies I knew. Some other folks went and did it. We propped him up, and they were trying to bring him down because we knew it was the first big domino.
Right.
So it was self-preservation, not just like being this loving person for the First Amendment, which that was secondary. Yes, I believe that. We have had behind the scenes some of the biggest organizations and groups that are patriotic launched massive sponsorship for us in areas, and again because they get it, they understand.
Right. This is why I support what you do, because I know they're coming for you. They're also coming for me. They're coming for every independent media person. They're coming for your ability to ask an intelligent, rational question.
Remember when we knew 4 years ago they were offering people 50 grand to lie about us?
I remember they offered it to me.
Yeah. Yep. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We didn't launch the phone system. It's no big deal. It got lost in the woodpile there. So 877-789-ALEX. Phone system's turned on right now. 877-789-ALEX. 877-789-2539. Mike Adams is here. And I want to get into some of these video clips we haven't played yet. But speaking about the dirty tricks that are going on, I'm actually proud of people that have been around me over the years, most of them, that they haven't taken the payoffs.
Yeah. Right.
But I've recently learned that some of that's actually gone on. And these papers admit to me that they're actually paying money when they call me, but then they never have the huevos to run with it because they know it's such bull, and they know I'm looking to sue somebody because I got to, because I just can't let people set a precedent to make these lies up. But you look at other people who put up with it, they get one person to tell a lie, then they get another to set a precedent, and they can have me riding unicorns around and, having sex with purple dwarves,
right,
and, 18 midgets when they're done. I mean, and so when media, since Trump got elected, went from being deceptive and manipulative to going, wait, we're losing, we better get 50 times more deceptive.
Well, yeah, a couple of things I'll mention here since you brought it up. Many years ago, I was offered $50,000 to go public trashing you with made-up stuff. And I told them where they can stick it. And they threatened and said, well, if you don't do this, we're going to come after you. And I just said, bring it. I don't care. Yeah, everybody, look, I stand for liberty and the republic and truth and natural health and good science and all these things. Go for it. Do what you want to do, because I'm not going to tear down other patriots, okay? So that's one thing. We were offered $10 million to sell Natural News a couple of years ago.
By the way, that's not a lot. You've got some of the biggest sites out there.
No,
people don't know how big your operation is. You've got publishing all over the world. I mean, you're probably bigger than Infowars.
No, I don't know about that. I mean,
well, your warehouse sure is.
Well, we have grown a lot, like you have grown over the last few years, because we're doing things right. And
well, we understand they're trying to destroy us. You either get bigger under attack or you implode.
But like you, I made a decision long ago. There is no amount of money that you can buy me off and silence my voice. I will never turn against.
They already tried to take my kids and basically said, "You back off, this all ends."
Look, I will never give up my Second Amendment rights ever under any circumstance.
But if I gave into that, they get them anyways with the whole system. They don't understand. You can't sell out, folks.
Right.
There is no selling out.
They can try to damage you, but you got to make them work for it. You know what I mean? There are no freebies here. If you want to destroy Alex Jones or destroy the Health Ranger, you're going to have to work for it.
What's weird is the average person in media loves to be bought off for nothing.
I know.
Or they roll over like it's winning.
No, they get bought
like
off
that
for
to me is like
$1,000.
Like the only thing I fear, like the only time I feel empty and like scared is when I think about selling out. And not that I even think about it. I just even entertain the idea. I'm like, like, I mean, it's like the fear of God. What is that?
But the more that this happens to people like us, and the stronger we become, they actually make us stronger because I was going to say that earlier. That which doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. It does.
Which is a scary thing.
Because internally, you decide what you stand for, what your life is here for, what your mission is. It's to defend this republic, to defend truth and honesty, to defend real journalism, for example, to defend our Second Amendment rights, because we know the genocide that happens historically when governments have a monopoly.
Well, that's the thing now. That's why I'm really concerned. The enemy's worse than I even thought. I mean, we are up against solid evil that just wants to hurt and destroy things. We've got to fight, folks. We've got to do this.
No question. There is a spiritual element. There's almost like a demonic overlay to the evil that's out there that is.
And by the way, I mean, you're a spiritual guy and everything, but years ago you weren't even. I mean, you're an engineer, top engineer. That's why you originally made your bones.
Software, yeah.
And you're like more and more now. This is demonic. Like,
no, I get it now. You know, I mean, over the last few years, it's become very, very clear to me that this is a spiritual war, and that these demonic forces.
Because people will go out of their way to even hurt themselves to hurt good.
Oh. It's unreal. They will go, look, the leftists, they do not want their children protected in the schools with armed guards or better security.
And they all put them on a bunch of psychotropics and hurt them.
They do. They hurt their own children. I mean, what kind of psychopaths? Seriously.
It's their religion.
It's like child sacrifice. It's like the Mayan or the Aztec cultures. They would sacrifice a certain number of children. Well, today, how do they do it? How do they say? Well, they've got abortion sacrifice, right? Partial birth abortions. The baby is coming out, could be alive, could be welcomed into the world, could be a future student at Parkland, Florida. How many kids were not present in that high school because they were murdered as they were being born? There's the big question that nobody's asking.
But don't worry, Planned Parenthood's sponsoring the anti-gun children. And so here's the choice people have to make, life or death. It really comes down to that.
That's exactly it.
And the globalists are a cult of death.
No question about it. They seek destruction. They use anger as a weapon to destroy light, to destroy life. They attack Christians. They attack people who believe in divinity or God or creation in
people that believe in anything but them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And by the way, they think that their existence is over when they die because they don't believe in the soul or the non-physical spirit. They are living this life as a suicide mission because they believe it ends when they die. Ever think about that?
And that's their overall operating system, but they're mainly just pissed because they know they're already cut off from it.
Well, I don't know if they can be redeemed for some of them for what they're doing, but make no mistake, I am here and I believe you are here to protect life. We are here to protect children. And if that means putting competent, trained, armed personnel in the schools to protect our children, that is a common sense
solution. And by the way, do the psychological profile like Trump said, maybe 20%, whoever gave him that great advice. Those people that actually care about kids, not some sheriff that can be ordered to stand down by Hillary sheriff and all this, but no, people that are there, they're not going to stand down.
You know, it's amazing to me that leftists, they love to have armed guards protect their money in the banks. They love to have armed guards protect them at a football event. They're all about armed guards. You get around leftists, they've got all the bodyguards. Of course. Hillary Clinton surrounded by armed guards, right? They've got guns. Why? To protect Hillary Clinton. And everybody has a right to be protected, but why not your children? Why not your children? You're going to protect.
By the way, there are already thousands of schools that have armed principals and select teachers, and that's the absolute way to go. A lot of these teachers are former police officers or they're former military or they're patriots, and then they won't be soft targets. Why do all the shooters are on serotonin reuptake inhibitors? Why do they all have the same Bushmaster, the same AR-15?
Right. Where did he get the money to buy 10 firearms? I don't know the answer to that.
And he didn't have them just in November. There's a police report. They went to his house, no guns, nothing.
You know, I do tactical firearms training. I've done it for years with former military, and I'm around a lot of cops and a lot of deputies, and I've had conversations with them since the shooting, and they tell me, every one of them, they are beside themselves. They cannot understand why those deputies didn't rush in. We all know. If all you got to do is return fire.
We all know they reported multiple shooters in full paramilitary garb, and multiple witnesses said they were with Cruz. He was not shooting. And the cover-up, the way they've acted desperately, obviously he's been asking questions and misrepresenting what we said, it's because evidence now swings towards it being more synthetic than just a basic false flag of a standout.
Yeah, of course. And that's like Nicholas Cruz was there. He was active, but there was someone else, at least, who was active as well. That's, I think, the testimony of what's her name, Lapel? Yeah, Stacy Lapel?
Yeah, there's teachers and everybody.
Right. She said, she saw the shooter, and she said immediately that was a policeman. Remember? That was her quote.
And meanwhile, Cruz was a little bitty guy.
Right. And she said, what, full face mask, body armor, full metal garb? Was that her quote?
Yeah.
That's not Nicholas Cruz. That's not the guy they arrested.
It was full Darth Vader body armor.
Yeah, that's her right there. What is that, ABC News or CBS? What is that?
And they've been deleting this off online. And that's what the students said. They said, oh, I'm with Cruz. He's not shooting people, no gun. But then these Army men are shooting people. And we're not saying the Army. That's just how students see it.
Right. But see, this is how these things work. They are allowed to unfold, and then they are augmented. So, you know, the carnage is real, like I said, but the narrative is fake. The carnage is real. The carnage was allowed to
Then they seize the crisis and embellish it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's the same pattern every time. And by the way, this goes all the way back to, you know, think about the Clinton era, Bill Clinton, the events that took place before Infowars existed, before the independent media existed. I'm talking about Oklahoma City, where the mainstream media had the entire narrative. Think about that.
Wow. And then even local news got it right because they weren't in on it. They were just told to change it. We're like, there's the multiple bombs. And the police said, yeah, we caught bombs inside.
Yep.
They interviewed the people in HUD. They said, yeah, I saw people in there putting gray sticks of butter in the.
We need to revisit all these mass killing events throughout history. We got to take another look.
We're going to come back with some clips in your calls, I promise.
But I will say, Willie, I'm talking to more and more Democratic leaders, Democratic policy people, who are concerned that the Democrats have everything on their side, but they don't have a unifying message.
Right.
And a lot of people that were concerned that Hillary Clinton was going to lose in the Democratic Party are saying they still don't have a message for the common good. It's for this group. You've been treated badly, right. Group A, and the Democrats are going to take care of you. Group B, you've been treated badly, and this is what we're going to do to take care of you. And Group C, you're being treated badly, and this is what and Group D, and so many Democratic strategists say that if you even talk about how this Democratic Party balkanizes voters instead of and looking for the common good for all Americans, that you're suddenly called a racist or you're attacked and you're shunned from the party.
Yeah. Now, people ask, why does Scarborough, who's a horrible guy, say things like that? It's simple. They know they're losing their base audience with the constant race war division. And they know that once they've radicalized with 99% racism and division, the minority groups they're brainwashing have already been radicalized. So then he just adds that to make it sound like, oh, what have we done? It's so terrible. It's like Facebook, oh, studies show we're making you commit suicide, so now we'll monitor you and we'll run a medical company that we direct you to so you get your psychiatric help. They've got the whole sick actuary for full spectrum dominance figured out.
Yeah, it is sick. They control your mind. They chemically influence you. They have disinformation. And of course, they use social engineering. That's the most powerful part, is to make it so that if you don't conform with your liberal friends, that you will be an outcast. That's incredibly powerful to young people because they're so invested in social conformity and wanting to be liked.
And you heard me earlier break it down. I've talked to Facebook executives and others and former ones, but they say it's already almost there where you don't really ever hardly talk to anybody real, and everything you put through is already being censored and controlled at the point of posting, to where you're going to be all alone in your own little cell, mainly just communicating with advertising and social engineering bots that are controlled. I mean, this is super immoral, and it's meant to keep you depressed about regular life and keep you in Facebook.
Did you see that scientists were warning recently that children are unable to hold pencils now because they're using mobile devices to such you can't hold pencils. I mean, what, Alex?
They don't even want to go to. Let me tell you something. Most parents I know say their children don't even want to eat dinner with them and act like it's punishment to sit and talk.
Well, I mean, you got to wonder.
They don't have the strength to grip a pencil.
Yeah, they don't have the strength to grip it. Yeah, grip strength is disappearing. It makes you wonder, people who have a rural lifestyle and they're working on a ranch or a farm or something, and, they're carrying buckets or bags of grain, they've got physical strength. They can actually do something in the real world. They could change a tire on a car. So many of these city liberals who are ultra protected, kind of the snowflake generation, they cannot use their fingers for anything other than texting and Snapchatting, and that's it. They're locked into it.
And they have the food delivered to a little coffin apartment, and they kind of go over and do it. And they revel in the weakness. It's like Omega Man. It's like Omega Man where he has the cure to them being dead zombies. And they go, dude, we don't want it. We like this.
It makes you wonder how they think they're going to succeed in a revolution attempt if they can't pick up a pencil. How are they going to pick up?
Well, when you look at Antifa with their AK-47s out there threatening us, they look like they can hardly hold the rifles up.
I bet they don't even know how to properly load and cycle around in an AK-47. I think they don't know how to do it. They don't know that it goes click when the magazine is out. It doesn't have a bolt lock when it's out. They don't know.
And if that's the case, it's our fault we let it happen. We're gonna co-host with Roger Stone and take your calls. We're going to Nate here in a minute, just briefly. So I didn't plug for an hour and a half of the show, and I plugged once earlier. If you don't fund us, we're not going to be here. You funding the operation helps us stand against the globalists. We are expanding satellites, about to make a bunch of announcements the next few weeks. We're doing a special 34-hour broadcast, Operation Paul Revere 2018, that kicks off tomorrow at 8 a.m. You overpower the AI. You overpower the algorithms. You overpower the bots on your own personal email and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. When you tell people about Operation Paul Revere and, hey, this is the censored show. This is where they want to start. This is what's under attack. It's your decision whether you want to win or lose. But you're the reason we got Trump in. You're the reason we have a beachhead. You're the reason we forced the globalist hand and made them act more radical. So we have Operation Paul Revere specials that are the biggest we've ever offered. Our biggest specials are 60% off, which is a loss leader. Sometimes we have 60%. We have many of the items of the thousands there at 80% off. Amazing Patriot apparel, books, videos, you name it. This is the biggest sale ever. Operation Paul Revere. Prebiotic fiber, best source fiber, amazing. We just came out 50% off out of the gates. Clearance apparel, 80% off. TrueWay, 50% off. Aegis armor, backpack inserts that they're gouging people for, other companies, 3-4 times what this even costs, 20% off. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. And we've got a partnership with Spikes Tactical, all their great firearms and accessories, whether it's bumper stickers or small accessories or full rifles. It's there. You get 5% off and a lifetime no BS warranty when you go to SpikesTactical.com and use promo code Alex. It's all there. Whatever you do, spread the article, spread the video, spread the word, and you overpower the globalists. This is a fight with the people, grassroots on the ground, in the media, in the social networks, full spectrum war, calling C-SPAN, calling local talk radio, running for office, taking care of your body, exercising, turning the TV off more, taking the iPhones away from your kids. That's what we do to win. A few minutes here on solutions, then we're going to Nate, Travis, Michael, Jeff, Tom, Alex, George, Robert, Chris, Thomas, David, George, and others.
I can take a call.
Let's do it then. I'm
good.
I just want to get a few of your solutions of unplugging from the Matrix.
No, I'm glad you mentioned Spikes Tactical. I just bought a Spikes lower, by the way. It's a really good lower.
We're blessed because
I like Spikes.
Yeah, because for one of the medium-sized shops that's been mom and pop, they're like the best.
Yeah,
they're like, and it's like
good hardware.
We don't just take people. We've had all sorts of deals where they want us to pitch some weird AR-15 or other thing where it's a crap company and put out a low price or whatever. We won't do it. These are very affordable. I'm not saying they're high price. We just won't promote crap.
Yeah, I know. I can tell. So is Nate on or what's?
Absolutely. Nate. My phone system just went down again. Nate in California, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Alex. Hey, Mike.
Hey there.
Saying hello from behind enemy lines here in the People's Republic of California.
Boy, aren't you?
Just wanted to tell you guys something. I don't know if you guys caught the Verge article yesterday, but apparently New Orleans has been using a algorithm or some sort of predictive policing system that apparently a couple police officers and then councilmen didn't even know. Councilmen and women didn't even know about it, so they're freaking out. So anyone out there who's listening who thinks that Alex is completely off his rocker or has been for like the last how many years, you're proven again wrong. The technocracy is here. California, we are in the state, we are literally behind the Iron Curtain once again. So all I can say is this. Alex, I don't know if you've ever caught the show. My brother was the one that turned me on to it. He was the one that red-pilled me. Alan, I hope you're listening out there because this one's for you guys. The show The Colony. They're taking you off the air, Alex. I mean, this is ridiculous. My brother, he loves you very much. I love you very much. I love the work that you guys do. Roger Stone, everyone. Mike, a Health Ranger, love you out there. We've been listening to your podcast for years. The thing is that when it comes down to it, use their technology against them. That's all I can say. Is you got to start using their technology against them. And that being said, if it means dropping your recordings into, like, let's say a torrent type system so that people can download it and share it.
Everyone's welcome to do that. We don't have the personnel, money, or people. Everyone can post our stuff everywhere. It's copyright free. On our satellite to TV stations, they don't even have to carry the ads. It says in the contract, we plug a little live on air. Everything is yours. Everything is yours. Do whatever you want. It's total war. Radio, TV, free to air.
We're working on solutions, Nate, and thank you for your call, by the way. And just to say, YouTube is going to be irrelevant to liberty-oriented individuals. YouTube is going to be just...
You're launching your own platform.
Chamber.
We are.
YouTube would be an echo chamber of liberals who hate America, all right? That's what it's coming to. Everybody...
It'll be known as Tyranny Tube.
Tyranny Tube. I like it. Yeah, exactly. That's what it will be. There's a fracturing of the technology online, and people who love America and love liberty are going to go somewhere else. End of story.
The reason we got to keep beachheads there and fight them, though, is they're going to target all what we're doing and are already doing it. We have to stay in their main combat zones where they meant to brainwash everybody and fight for people, kind of like in the Matrix. They inject down into the Matrix and they pull back out. Yeah. We got to go into the Matrix and come out. We got to have both. We got to fight them over there and fight them here.
Right. I agree.
Anything else, Nate?
Yeah, no, we are literally exchanging ideas like they did in World War II with the resistance. I mean, that's the way that it has to be. They want to take us.
This is a total AI takeover. Facebook's job is to make you so depressed you get put in a suicide center. No, I'm serious.
Drugs, right.
By the way, Sheriff Benghazi, YouTube went in and took this thumbnail down, and we had to go put it back up.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's how bad it is now. Where they didn't, because he is Benghazi's a stand down. He stood down. Sheriff stand down.
Thank you, Nate, for your call. Let's go to... Oh, we got to go.
We got to go to break.
All right.
And we're going to have Roger Stone with us, so we're going to go.
All right.
Mike, I like it. You're going to be hosting one day next week.
Okay.
There'll be no... You said you want to do it.
I'm game. Yep.
What day you want to do it?
Let's let that be a mystery.
A mystery. Kind of like a little mystery, like a Cracker Jack box. Yeah, you don't know a little...
let people guess.
All right. Next week, I'm going to take my children on a short vacation. Don't worry, you know I'll be here. You can't get away with you can't escape me interrupting. All right, folks. It's Mike Adams, myself, Alex Jones, and Roger Stone. You can see him there in his very, very sharp suit, and we're going to be broadcasting here with him in the next hour. We're going to be taking your calls because I did a bad thing. I gave the number out about an hour ago and forgot to turn the phone system on myself. My fault. Got a switch right here. And so we got all the calls there right at the end. And so we got to, kind of like pirates take over. I don't just interrupt people on air. I interrupt shows. But Roger is fine with that. Roger, tell us some of the big tidbits you've got coming up in this hour before we go back to these calls.
Well, Alex, incredibly, a top aide to John McCain, David Kramer, has pled the Fifth Amendment in the Russian dossier probe. Kramer is the guy that McCain sent to London to retrieve the bogus document and bring it back so that Senator McCain could present it to the FBI. When is John McCain going to answer questions under oath about his role in this whole sordid, shady, unconstitutional affair?
Well, I don't know. He's fighting for his life right now.
Well, look, we all wish him a speedy recovery regarding his health ailments, but Alex, that doesn't excuse the fact that this is a guy who said the Russian collusion was worse than Watergate, that Barack Obama was a better president than Donald Trump. I mean, this is not the John McCain that I knew 30 years ago when he came to Washington as a reform-oriented conservative. I really think he is bent with bitterness and envy for the fact that Donald Trump became president and John McCain did not.
That's right. All right, that's coming up. We're going to go just to these calls in order. Travis, Michael, Jeff, Tom, right down through them. Travis in Texas, you're on the air concerning the attack on the Second Amendment. NBC News says, ban the Second Amendment. Repeal it. Go ahead, Travis.
Well, while I'm loading my AR-10 magazines right now with 308, so never mind that AR-15 stuff. I like the bigger calibers. But
I hear you.
I just wanted to say use your products and want to endorse you there. So just want to talk about the event we put on this last weekend. It was a shooting competition. They're called Running Guns, and we ran 5.25 miles. We ran 174 competitors through 9 stages. Pretty much everybody had AR-15s or that like. We, assuming a 50% hit ratio on those stages, we fired somewhere in the order of 38,000 rounds, and no one got hurt, no one got shot, or anything like that. So I'm preaching to the preachers here, but that's how it goes down.
Yeah, what do you know? Putting rounds on target where you intend.
Now, that's awesome because they're trying to delete regular shooting ranges websites. They're trying to harass everybody. We've got to stand together.
Right on.
Well, Travis, sounds like your crew knows how to handle themselves, so congratulations.
Well, Travis, hitting the good news, too. The NRA's getting record donations.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, yeah. That's great. Kind of like Gun Owners of America myself, but hey.
No, I agree. I remember when Gun Owners was the only strong group, but we're getting the NRA better, and they're the main target. That's why I'm saying we're supporting them. Does that make sense?
Right on, yeah.
Well, God bless you, Travis. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Roger, you want to comment on this thing? You're right there in Broward County. I know you know Sheriff Benghazi, but I agree. That's not the main focus. It's the psychotropic drugs and the fact that after the police already visited him a bunch, no one wanted to prosecute him.
You know, in all honesty, Alex, the fact that our local sheriff has become an advocate for gun control turns my stomach. You know, I don't think he's a bad guy, but I never said he was a conservative or a Republican. As a result of one of the calls to BSO, Cruz was remanded to the state for an involuntary psychological counseling and medication. 2.5 months later, the state doctors certified him as being safe. So this is an entire cauldron of failure that we're talking about in these shootings.
That's right. Just enforce the laws we have in almost every case. Like the Texas church shooting, he'd been fully adjudicated a lunatic, escaped from a mental asylum and a military base, and then got guns illegally. They didn't put it in the database. You know, I've been saying I'm going to get to these clips. I'm going to get Roger Stone, of course, former head of the Trump campaign, 2016, get his take on it. I want to get Mike Adams' take on it, the Health Ranger, naturalnews.com. I want to go back to your calls, but I mentioned this yesterday and today, but I never got to it. So let's play, got like 5 of these clips, but let's play at least one of these. Tom Fuentes implies women can't carry guns because they wear skirts. That's CNN. Let's go ahead and play this unintentional comedy. Here it is.
One of the things that people don't talk about, a lot of these schools, Sandy Hook had an all-female faculty, from principal to teachers. And for a woman, where are you going to hide that gun during the day? You can't put it in your desk drawer. Somebody might steal it and you can't get to it. You're not going to have it in a safe in the principal's office. You can't get to it. On your person, hiding it. If you wear a dress, if you wear a skirt, are you going to have to wear a jacket every day with a belt and a holster the way a detective, you know, on duty would do? It's not a real practical solution, even for a variety of reasons.
That's total fraud. I have right here in the desk an instant access pistol safe that's biometric. At my house, I've got them where it's the 4-finger control. You program it. It's very easy to know. Kids can't get into it, nobody, but it's there. It's so condescending that they couldn't have an instant access pistol safe for those that opt in, that are trained, go through the course. And then again, that a woman can't do that. Let's get Roger Stone's take on that, and then Mike Adams.
This is part of the same failed idea that if you somehow outlaw and prohibit guns, that they won't be plentiful. The government once outlawed alcohol during Prohibition. It was plentiful. Today, we outlawed drugs. Do you think drugs can't be found on the streets? Of course
look at Mexico. Look at total gun ban for the citizens, highest crime rate in the world.
So the idea that if we banned guns, that all that would do would make it difficult for law-abiding citizens to own firearms. The outlaws, the criminals, the miscreants, the nut jobs, they'll always be able to find a gun. It's warped thinking by the liberals. And then they add this argument. Look, I know some women who are extraordinary shots who would be very offended by that video.
It's crazy. And, of course, we talked about Dick's Sporting Goods. Since we mentioned it, let's play Dick's CEO, who is a real, well, the name of his store. I mean, it's constant It's constantly, there's a bunch of the jokes I can make. I'm not going to do it. The listeners don't like it, and I'm sorry. I'm going to stop. But, you know, have you been dicked over today by Dick's? Dick's Sporting Goods, major gun retailer, stopped selling assault rifles, really giving a royal screwing to the Second Amendment. When, again, assault rifles, if you even use their definition, are used in less than 2% of the crimes. But they obsess on them because they can ban those. They can ban them all. Let's play the CEO of a place whose name is now Dick's. Go ahead.
We looked at what happened down in Parkland, and we were so disturbed and saddened by what happened. We felt we really needed to do something.
The virtue signal.
We've decided not to sell these assault weapons any longer in any of our stores, and the other things that we talked about.
Yeah, and the shooter down in Parkland actually bought a gun at a Dick's store, not the assault weapon.
Right, he did, and he bought a shotgun from us back in November, and it wasn't the gun, nor was the type of gun that...
Can you imagine, like, if somebody, like this Islamicist that ran over a bunch of people in New York and killed them, and we said it was an Islamicist, he screamed Allah Akbar and was. The media said that was fake news and banned our #1 tweet talking about it, Paul Watson's. Imagine if they'd have said the name of the vehicle and they had the CEO of the company on, I think it was a big Mercedes truck, and said, we're really sorry that we sell a lot of Mercedes trucks, and, you know, he stole this Mercedes truck, but we're really sorry it's a Mercedes truck. This is the death of logic, and I will never go to Dick's again.
Well, will Dick's feel bad about all the people who fail to defend themselves because they have a home invasion and they can't defend themselves with a highly effective legal firearm, which he calls an assault rifle? I just call a good firearm. I mean, a 300 blackout, suppressed AR style, a short-barreled rifle, great for home defense. That's why you need them.
Well, I got to say, I mean, I was never into Dick's, but it was close to my house, so I would go there sometimes to get golf balls or tennis balls, or, you know, my children, you know, had grown out of their exercise clothes for tennis or track or whatever it was. I mean, I'm over there at least once a month. I am not going back in there to be raped by these anti-gunners.
Exactly. Me neither.
I mean, the Dick's is screwing America over.
Hey, you make an economic choice, and you choose who to support and who not to support.
Why do you think the CEO of this organization, Ed Stack, is virtue signaling like this? Roger?
Well, I mean, interestingly enough, Alex, he makes a point there, which is that Cruz, the Parkland shooter, bought a gun at Dick's. Because Cruz had been involuntarily seized by the state.
Under state law, shouldn't have a boom-boom.
And shouldn't have been able to get one under the NCIS registry system. So again, they're failing to enforce the laws we do have in this rush to add new laws.
And why is it always leftist areas with some guy in government custody on a bunch of drugs, and the sheriffs always stand down, and it's always an AR-15? I mean, who's coming up with this script? I'm not saying the shootings aren't happening, but out of thousands of guns, why is it always the same story? Got some crazy-eyed loon under government control?
Yeah, by the way, Dick's Sporting Goods, half the stuff they sell is made in China anyway. They don't seem to have a pro-America stance to begin with. You can find better options.
Well, I'll say this. They don't seem to have any employees in there either.
Oh, really?
I can't ever ask for help. You can't get any help.
Well, hey, I would just say people support your local small gun shops who are probably more knowledgeable than people at Dick's Sporting Goods.
That's the thing. I never buy guns at big places because they're always so rude and weird.
Yeah.
They act like you're weird buying a gun, and they always have like some commie behind the thing. Like,
right.
Well, no, you go to it's always man buns.
No, don't get me started. Roger, you got a comment on this, or we go to the next call?
Hey, would you like to have a man bun, Roger?
No, I'll pass on that. Look, the whole role of psychotropic drugs in these shootings, when we just try to discuss it, have an open discussion of it, you know, we're immediately attacked as conspiracy
YouTube
theories.
banned the video where we said, what is the cause of mass shootings? And we said it's not acting, they're on these drugs. And they banned that.
Yeah, it's indisputable that as a result of one of the citizen calls regarding complaint about Cruz, that the state Baker acted him, took him into custody, submitted him for psychological treatment and counseling, and they medicated him.
And it sure made it better, didn't it? His mommy, his adopted mother had just died, and then they put him on psychotropics. That was a really good move.
Yeah, exactly.
He was already talking about being a school shooter. They said, you know, the answer is let's put you on some psychotropics. that says on the insert it can make you kill people.
Of course.
Alex, is one thing I want to comment on, and that is I see whey protein at 50% off at the Infowars store site. You know, I like this stuff. I've used all the different chocolate-flavored whey proteins. This is the one that doesn't taste like gasoline, actually tastes like chocolate. I used to mix it with soy milk until Rob Dew got me smart on that. Now I just mix it with water. But this is a great price for a great product. If you're an athlete, if you're trying to...
It's $19.95 for a big old keg. We're sold out of the chocolate. We got the vanilla. You're right. And I'm glad you mentioned that.
The vanilla is every bit as palatable. I usually don't like...
Well, the vanilla is racist. Come on.
It's pretty good, actually.
Well, I'm sorry.
People want to support us. That's where they can go. That's a great price. This stuff is not inexpensive. It's expensive when you buy it on the outside, and it tastes awful. I've really enjoyed this whey.
No, this whey tastes great. That's a true whey protein, 50% off. But getting serious on all this, we have 80% off on many items right now, the biggest sale ever. Infowarstore.com, InfowarsLive.com. And there's so much more. This is all part of the big Paul Revere special broadcast we have tomorrow. I promise I'm going to be a good boy. We're going to go boom, boom, bam, bam when we come back, and we're going to be taking your phone calls. Did they crash the phone? Did I crash the phone system again?
It looks down.
I control it under here. I'm joking. I'm not controlling it. It used to crash like once a year. I think it's crashing every 10 seconds now. So, okay, we'll see what happens with those. Well, that just fixed all the caller problems right there. Just look at me and Spalding. We're just regular pals.
There's quite a few there, but
Porterhouse.
I'm sure.
Look at these shoes. That's wax buildup. That's fine leather. All right, we'll be right back with Roger Stone. Stay with us. Well, folks, our phone system has crashed for some bizarre reason. And they tell me, well, it's kind of an old Comrex. Can we have a new $4,000 system? The answer is yes. I wondered why it used to crash once a year. Now it's every other time we open the phones up.
Too many calls.
So well, I mean, the system can take thousands.
It just lit up. It was like...
Roger, you've got a lot to get into about what's going on. Mike Adams is here. I have to tell folks, though, and I'm going to read this and then decide how to respond. I already scanned over it. We know for years that they've had media, so-called media going around, the same folks that created the PP dossier story and all that, trying to get people to make stuff up. And when this so-called paper, this well-known tabloid called me a few weeks ago, I said, did you pay these individuals? They said, no comment. And so during the break, they gave me a 33-page report. And I was looking over it, and fantastical theater, fantastical fiction. But I know how mainstream media works. They're not going to ever let me respond anyways. But to the audience, I'm going to respond. But it's just, they're trying to take our online sponsors. They're trying to shut us down. They're all over the news. And they don't even care. They then launch this in the middle of everything. After BuzzFeed moved here, a reporter for 6 months contacting everyone, trying to get them to say something that wasn't true. And what was great was nobody did. Well, finally, somebody did. So we're going to get to this. This is unbelievable. And I told him, I said, I'm going to have to take legal action. Not the Mail, probably, Daily Mail, but obviously of the individuals, because it's like crazy, the level of disinformation, or taking some kernel of truth. Like, I'm having a debate with David Duke, and I'm saying he's a bad guy, and then he calls somebody by their ethnicity or religion because they wanted to come on the show and told me they wanted to come on as that, and then that becomes, I did that. I mean, it's or like we had guns everywhere, and it scared people, and we had the person on video thanking them for putting them in a concealed carry class. So it's like each piece of it, because we'd already seen, the claims, is false. And it doesn't even hurt me because this is what I've expected. I mean, this is, imagine what Trump's going through. Imagine. And thanks to you supporting us, listeners, it's just incredible. But next level. Roger Stone, in fact, you're being polite. Roger loves to hear people talk. Other big stuff on your radar, Mike Adams.
Well, I would say, Roger, you can hear me, right, Roger?
Yes, indeed. Go ahead, Mike.
I've got a couple of big questions for you right now about Florida, about Broward County. Do you know any of those deputies, or are you aware of any reason why a deputy would stand down, would even take that order to not enter a school? Because that seems contradictory to everything I've ever seen about law enforcement training. What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, because of the way our 911 call system is set up in the county, this initial call, shots fired, actually goes to the Coral Ridge Municipal police department. Coral Ridge does not participate in the county-wide 911 system run by the sheriff's office. Therefore, the officers from Coral Ridge show up in SWAT gear. The officers from the sheriff's office, I am told, do not. They both arrive at approximately the same time, but by that time, the shooter has already fled the premises and is no longer at the school. So when they arrived, unfortunately, the one officer who was armed, the one officer whose duty it was to go in there and take the guy out, did nothing. He let headquarters know that shots had been fired. He told them to set up a perimeter, but he did not do his duty. Yeah, and there is the epic failure here.
That's my question.
By the time all of the other law enforcement officers arrived, the shooter had already left the building.
This seems to go against every piece of training, because active shooter scenario training is the #1 form of training that law enforcement officers get, sheriff's deputies, police, SWAT teams, you name it. And every single one of them is trained that even if they are the one man or woman on the scene, they go in. And at minimum, you can lay down return fire. You can pin the bad guy. You can create shrapnel. If the bad guy's not wearing eye protection, you can blind him with shrapnel from bullets hitting bricks on the wall, whatever it takes. It seems unreal to me that anyone would, on their own volition, refuse to go in and engage a shooter when they are law enforcement. It just doesn't make sense to me.
But what's extraordinary here, Mike, is that this particular officer had actually taught SWAT management tactics and how shooters are supposed to react. He's a 37-year veteran whose training was completely upgraded and revised post-Columbine. And still he froze. The president called him a coward. The sheriff called him a coward. There's the epic failure. By the time any other law enforcement arrived, the shooter had already left the building.
Then what does this mean, Roger, when people say, give up all your guns, the government will protect you? Because isn't this a very clear case where the government absolutely failed in its duty to protect individual citizens, and yet somehow we're supposed to trust them to always protect us at a moment's notice? Clearly, they cannot do that.
Could we just enforce the laws that are already on the books? Cruz there had been 18 individual complaints regarding Cruz filed with the sheriff's office. Of those, two rose to the level in which one case he was taken into custody and remanded to the state, who then medicated him. On the other instance, he had moved out of the jurisdiction. You know, he should have been in the NCIS register. He should never have been able to own a gun, buy a gun. And of course, the red flag of him being medicated by the state, all the signs were there. This is an extraordinary failure. Look, I live here. I have experienced, I have seen the grief and the anguish of the people in our community. 17 young people died needlessly because one guy would not do his duty.
Roger, your analysis is spot on, and I really appreciate the fact that what you're pointing out is that all the laws are on the books if they had just been invoked and engaged properly. If the process had worked, then this individual would not have been able to acquire that firearm that he used in the shooting, or he could have been stopped by law enforcement in a timely manner, and the number of deaths would have been vastly reduced, maybe only 1 or 2. And yet, what we're being told now by the mainstream left is that we need more laws, because somehow the laws that are out there, I don't know, they don't want to enforce them. They want more laws. Why don't they just make a law that it's illegal to shoot people in schools? Oh, wait, that's already illegal. But it seems insane that more laws could solve this if we're not enforcing the ones on the books.
Well, and here's where I hope this is different than Las Vegas. There's extensive video of everything. This governor has ordered a complete inquiry by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I hope that there will be no cover-up here, unlike Las Vegas. This should all be able to be synced to a timeline based on radio transmissions, eyewitness accounts, and of course the ever-present cameras. So I want to see exactly what did happen, and I want those who are responsible to be held responsible.
Absolutely. You and I completely agree on that point. Alex, do you want to, are you going to jump in here?
I am. I'm just listening to you guys break all this stuff down, and I'm going to let Roger take over with all the stuff he's got on the other side of this, and then I'm going to respond to this fiction piece here as well, coming up a little bit later with a live transmission at Infowars.com. Then the War Room's come up with Owen Schroyer and Roger Stone later as well. Stay with us. We got the biggest sales ever at InfoWarsStore.com, 30 to 80% off. We got the special 34-hour broadcast, kicks off tomorrow at 8 a.m. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're on the Alex Jones Show, and this is your host, Roger Stone. All of you are aware of the incredible war of censorship being waged against Infowar, even as we speak. We had, the last time I looked, 2 strikes out of 3 that would remove Infowars from the YouTube listings based on completely bogus claims that we said here at Infowars that nobody died in Parkland. No one who works here ever said anything of the kind. In fact, we didn't even say that some of the witnesses were crisis actors. What we said were they were students who appeared to be coached in their talking points. The same thing that Tucker Carlson said over at Fox. The entire events of Parkland and the tragic murders at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School are being used not only as an excuse to confiscate guns, but also as the cover for a shutdown of the voices of freedom. We see it at Facebook, Google, Yahoo, Amazon, Twitter, and Facebook. The fact that the shadow banning is going on is obvious. I posted a statement about this most recent attempt to smear me by The Atlantic magazine, in which they cut and pasted messages between myself and WikiLeaks that I disclosed to the House Intelligence Committee months ago that, by the way, prove that there was no collusion. And suddenly my statement that used to get thousands of retweets on Facebook get a handful. This is evidence of what is going on here. Yesterday on the War Room, we interviewed Jason Fick, who is an internet entrepreneur. He flagged for us a freedom-based page on Facebook with 3.2 million followers, a pro-Trump page that was just arbitrarily decapitated yesterday. This is the plan of the tech left, and it's all about the 2018 election and then the 2020 election. They're well aware of the fact that in 2016, they lost control. For the first time ever in American history, the 3 major networks did not completely manage and dominate the political dialogue. Used to be, if they said something didn't happen, it didn't happen. If they covered something with their spin, that was the official narrative. There were no alternative voices. The technological advances of the internet gave rise to a vibrant, robust alternative media, of which Infowars is the undisputed leader. If you read my book, available at the Infowars store, The Making of the President 2016, I detail in precise order the role of Infowars, particularly, and of conservative, social, and alternative media in general in the rise of this president. Donald Trump could never have been elected without this vibrant alternative media community, including Infowars. But what has his White House done? Have you seen him here on Infowars or being interviewed at the Daily Caller or at Newsmax or any of the conservative alternatives? No, they have pandered to the politicos, to the mainstream media, to ABC and NBC. It makes no sense because that's not what the president's supporters are watching or following. So it's time for the Trump administration and the Republicans in Congress to wake up to the fact that we are being silenced in preparation for a defeat in 2018. The idea is to strangle us first so that then they can take out Donald Trump. The president may not believe that he himself will ever be censored. Well, perhaps he's right, although I wouldn't bet on it. What they are doing is turning down our volume. In fact, in some cases, they're trying to turn it off by disenfranchising his supporters, by removing us from the battlefield. They're laying the groundwork for Donald Trump's defeat and the defeat of the Republican Party. They would like to silence us in their efforts to confiscate our guns. If we're not here to object, it will make gun confiscation and the violation of the Second Amendment all that much easier. Here is a task that I urge anyone who is interested do. The chairman of the Telecommunications Subcommittee in the U.S. House is Congressman Ryan Costello. Let us grab his phone number. He's at costello.house.gov. That's costello.house.gov. Email him right now and demand that our internet freedom be protected. Email him now and tell him that it's not fair, it's not right for Infowars to be barred over non-existent transgressions by YouTube, and that this is part and parcel of an effort to use the Communications Decency Act, the CDA, specifically Section 230, which was actually originally written to control pornography on the internet, but is now being used illegitimately to silence conservative alternative voices. Let's see if we can pull up the congressman's phone number there, but you can go to 202-224-3121 and ask for Congressman Ryan Costello's office. Tell the congressman that this is urgent. There you have his Washington office on the left, 202-225-4315. His Pennsylvania office, two of them. Whether you are in this district or not, he is the ranking Republican on these issues. He is the one who must move quickly to amend the Communications Decency Act so that it is not used as a catch-all to destroy conservative media. Now, we're going to have to fight this out in the Congress, in the courts, and in front of the administration, as well as in the streets in terms of peaceful demonstration to make our point. There are First Amendment issues here. There are monopoly and trust issues, antitrust issues. There are service contract issues. There are multiple legal issues. You cannot be the town square, as Twitter claims, if you bar people's access to the town square. We're going to have to collect plaintiffs for an enormous class action lawsuit, but that could take years to wend its way through the courts. And candidly, the effort to strangle us is going on right now. President Donald Trump needs to direct his Assistant Attorney General for antitrust matters to immediately investigate the abuses of Google and to crack down on these monopolistic practices. We want to see what keywords they're using to censor conservatives. Is the word conservative, the word Infowars, the word firearms, do they trigger censorship? I bet they do. We have to demonstrate in the courts their manipulation of the system. But before we do that, we need to put maximum pressure on the Congress, the Republicans, and on the administration, where candidly, the president's son-in-law and daughter, great people, are out dining with Google executives at the exact same time that Google is seeking to strangle the Trump reform movement. I'm Roger Stone. You're on the Alex Jones Show. Take a second to go to the Infowar store, folks. We need your support. All right, some talking heads there to bring us into the final segment. You're at the tip of the spear. This is Freedom Command Central. It's the Alex Jones Show. It never ceases to amaze me the way the mainstream media, at the behest of their Democratic handmaidens, seek to reinflate the phony Russian collusion narrative that has now been so thoroughly debunked and debased. This week, I received what in essence was a Schiff sandwich when Jennifer Rubin gave me a Rubin in a column in the Washington Post that actually claimed that when the Democratic counter-Russian collusion memo said that the Russians had lagged email and documents to Trump associates for review, that meant Roger Stone. No, it did not. There is no evidence to that effect. That is a falsehood, a canard, a fairy tale, a partisan lie. Yet Jennifer Rubin, who is theoretically a legitimate mainstream media reporter for the Washington Compost, says it as if it were a fact. This is Kafkaesque. It's a classic example of fake news. Yesterday, I started to get a slew of calls from reporters who wanted to confirm that I had flown to London in 2016 to meet with Julian Assange. Categorically, absolutely, totally false. I have never met or spoken to Assange. And in fact, my passport, which we showed earlier on the Alex Jones show, demonstrates that I did not leave the country. My secret messages were not secret at all. They were completely and totally disclosed to the House Intelligence Committee. There is my passport. On the left, you see a trip in 2010. On the right, you see the trip that I took to Bucharest to speak in 2017. There is nothing in between, proof that I did not meet with Assange. Where do they come up with these hokey rumors? It is entirely bogus, but it's part and parcel of the kind of fake news that Alex Jones has been subjected to. Oh, he said nobody was shot at Parkland. He never said anything of the kind. This is being used solely, pardon me, as an excuse to strangle our First Amendment rights. First, it is Infowars, but ultimately they will all go down. The president must understand that he has little prospect for legislative success, little prospect to continue to hold control of Congress, a little prospect of re-election unless he has a free, vibrant, alternative media that thrives in an open internet. This is why I spoke at the Free Our Internet rally at CPAC just the other day, calling out Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Twitter, the internet giants. They are running an absolute war of attrition. They do not want to hear the truth about what we have to say. They do not respect our First Amendment constitutional rights, and they are challenging us like never before. Alex Jones has said this for the last several days. They want to move to a weird society in which everything is operated by bots, in which you are not communicating with anyone other than your small circle of friends, and they charge you to do that. It's the end of the reform movement. This IR program is dangerous, but this is where we are headed. Which is why, again, I tell you that to help us in the coming fight, go to the Infowars.com store. Now, we get punked and we get criticized for constantly promoting our products. But let me explain this. We are completely listener and viewer funded here at Infowars. We have no big billionaire corporate sponsors standing in the wings, writing subsidy checks for our investigative journalism, which is why we need you to go to the store now and look at some of these incredible specials. Whey protein, as palatable in vanilla as it is chocolate. This is the one whey protein I've found at 50% off. Doesn't taste like gasoline, tastes pretty good. Great for promoting lean muscle mass. I like to stack it with Caveman. Caveman goes back to all the biological basics, a true building block. I have a couple other favorites that I want to point out. Rain Force Plus. This is a great product, folks, that gives you mental clarity and mental energy. Pollen block, perfect for this time of year when you have itchy eyes, runny nose, the change of season. Great price on that. Also, I like Immune Wall. This is an incredible product, helped me get over the flu, because I learned that Infowars fuses the absolute best. There's Pollen Block, great product. But what you see at Infowars is the fusing of ancient Chinese herbology and products that have been proven for centuries to be effective, fused with cutting-edge nutraceuticals. We don't use fillers. We're not selling you junk. If you look at the site, you'll see that the Infowars products are in most cases thoroughly reviewed, in some cases by literally thousands of satisfied customers, and they're all scored. I like the auto ship function because that way you are never caught short. A stock is set aside for our auto ship clients, so we never run out, and you can be assured of an uninterrupted supply of your favorite products. I couldn't get through 2 hours a day on Infowars without Brain Force Plus, a terrific product that both Owen Schroyer and I swear by. So help us gird for the coming fight over internet freedom. Help us prepare for the demonstrations, the lawsuits, the lobbying of Congress that it will take to keep Infowars alive. This is our mission and our challenge. If they take down Infowars, who's next? Is it Breitbart? Is it the Daily Caller, the Gateway Pundit? So many other great alternative publications. Is it Matt Drudge himself, who has broken some of the biggest stories regarding the attempts to destabilize and delegitimize Donald Trump? We are all at danger. This is the struggle that faces us. This is why I urge you again to contact Congressman Ryan Costello. He's the ranking Republican on the House Telecommunications Subcommittee. He is the man who can put forward amendments to the Communications Decency Act that's being used right now, even as we speak, to strangle Infowars. You can reach him at 202-225-4315. This is the key individual. Now, Jason Fick, the internet entrepreneur who was with us yesterday on the War Room, had a meeting with Congressman Costello that was abruptly canceled. This is disconcerting. We cannot wait for a long, drawn-out court battle. We have to move now. And the administration and the Republicans in Congress must recognize that their fortunes are tied entirely to ours. Coming up shortly on the War Room with Owen Schroyer, we're going to break down even further the war of censorship, the efforts to take down the entire Trump movement. And I want to express my own personal outrage at this attack on Alex Jones. Alex Jones is not a racist. He is not an anti-Semite, and he most definitely did not grab anybody's butt. This is checkbook journalism where they pay people to lie. They pay people to bear false witness. They know Alex Jones is one of the most effective voices against the globalists. They know Alex Jones is leading the fight in the information war, which is why he is being smeared. Go to the Infowar store now. We'll see you on the other side in the War Room with Owen Schroyer, and we'll keep this conversation going. God bless you. God bless America. And thanks for coming to the Alex Jones Show.
This program contains language and sequences some viewers may find disturbing.
The nation and all of our freedoms hang by a thread, and the military apparatus of this country is about to be handed over to scum who are beholden to scum. Russian scum!
listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
The function of all life is survival. Sleep. Sleep. Sleep.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Lock the door! Lock the door!
They're coming! They're coming! Help! Help! They're coming! They're coming! Listen to me! Listen! Help me! You're next, please! Please! You're next! We're in danger! Please, listen to me! Something terrible! Please! You're next! Here they are! They're already here! Come! You're next! They're coming! They're coming!
Sleep. The seed is planted. Sleep. Sleep. Terror grows. Sleep.
Elizabeth, wake up! Get you when you sleep! Sit up!
Invasion of the body snatchers.
All of a sudden, they're growing like parasites. Is it contagious?
Trump, free all the homies!
It looked right at me. You need to get out.
You're looking at it as if it was human. It was not human.
Now, the classic fear begins to grow.
We're being cornered.
In a modern masterpiece of science fiction.
They're barricading the street.
Invasion of the body snatchers.
The land of the walking dead!
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the Resistance. It's Alex Jones.
I'm so excited. The new product at InfoWarsLife.com in a glass bottle, 2-month servings, filled to the brim, filled to the absolute top, the real red pill. This is a heart and brain pill, a nootropic that doesn't have any stimulants in it. But boy, does it stimulate, because it's beyond that. Quite frankly, I just went off what I saw medical doctors prescribing to their patients, but it wasn't prescription, but they were charging people $100, $200 for the formulae. And I came up with our own formula, working with some scientists and developers, non-GMO, made right here in America, 120 capsules. And ladies and gentlemen, you add the pregnenolone to it, which is the precursor to all the hormones that your body has to have to even make the hormones in your glands. It is amazing. Red pill, now available at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase funds the operation.